Hey there, fellow wanderers. As you open your eyes to the crisp dawn of a Victorian morning, you'll find yourself enveloped by the stillness of an era long past. The faint aroma of coal smoke drifts in through the open window, mingling with the morning dew's earthy scent. The chill in the air nips at your cheeks, reminding you that the comforts of modern heating belong to a future century. Shadows linger in the dim light as the sun hesitantly rises, casting an amber glow through lace curtains. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the day ahead settle like a familiar cloak on your shoulders. This is not a fairy tale. It's a journey into a world where light itself seems gentler yet painfully exacting in its clarity, where every glance, posture, and turn of phrase must conform to a rigid social script carved deeply into daily life. To live in Victorian society was to perform endlessly, precisely. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. You awaken in a room that seems softened by layers of history and dust. It's not just the chill that's tangible, it's the weight of expectation, palpable in the way every object is precisely placed under societal dictates. Your day starts as soon as the cockerel dares to crow, wounding the silence with its call. The Victorian morning is rigid in its structure, as time itself is a commodity crafted by routine and discipline. Your first task upon waking is to ensure the embers in the hearth have not died overnight. There is a certain satisfaction in the crackling rejuvenation of logs igniting, mirroring the slow kindling of your thoughts. The warmth they promise is a stark reminder of the absence of electricity. Flicker, a testament to perseverance in an era that demanded dogged adherence to custom. Before breakfast, personal grooming must be addressed, adhering rigidly to Victorian standards. Your toilette, a delicate ballet of lotions, combs, and clothes, proceeds as a masterclass in the art of modesty and propriety. For a woman, corsets need to be laced just so, a cinching reminder that fashion is inseparable from restriction, quite literally a breathless embrace. Meanwhile, for Victorian men, a lengthy ritual with shaving and pomade prepares them to face society with the proper demeanoral polished moustaches and stiff collars, like soldiers ready for parade, gingerly stepping on the battlefield of prestige and respect. Into the kitchen, where servants, if you're fortunate enough to command them, bustle to prepare a breakfast that's regulated by unspoken rules, just like everything else in this world. A simple meal, yet it must be conducted with the finesse of a choreographed performance. The humble egg, a daily staple, is consumed with precision. Historians argue whether such rituals were rooted in sheer practicality or pure pretension. Now the household stirs more vigorously. Fathers gather their papers with the same intensity of generals reviewing battle plans, for the world outside the front door demands no less than total mental armament. Mothers gently corral children into the day's activities, their vigilance bestowed by the understanding that in this era, a reputation is as fragile and imperative as the china in your drawing room. You step into the drawing room, where light floods in at last. It's a room full of echosthi, soft rustle of skirts, the muted tones of a family at the start of their day. Here, you are reminded of your place, gently but firmly. Even sound has its manners. The piano, lounging silent in the corner, stands as a backdrop, a symbol of refinement, to which one might add music later, where time allows, after proprieties have been observed. In this moment, before the bustling day carries you away, you glance around to absorb the details that will, in some few hours' time, flutter by unnoticed, a philosopher's lament for the present. This room, its orderly symmetry, stands as a testament to the larger societal rules. Nothing is without place, nothing is without purpose. And, as you prepare to face the world, you can't help but smirk to yourself. A bit of warm humor kindled by the knowledge that, somewhere out there, not everyone takes these things quite so seriously. Perhaps in the form of a rebellious young scholar, tow-headed and mischievous, who dares to whisper as they circle the drawing room floor, the sort of person who would grow into someone worthy of a witty Oscar Wilde quip. But even whispers are bound by the walls of decorum here. Stepping into the world outside, your day has truly begun not as a linear progression of tasks, but as a dawning realization that every breath you take belongs to a deeply layered symphony. You move with the tides of time, with the nuances of social maneuvering, into a world that insists on decorum, even in its casual moments, dance through a field of unwritten, ever-present rules. This quiet understanding that the rules define you, cradle you even, is both comforting and confining. So you lean into it, embracing the monotony with curiosity, knowing that floating in the edges of this strict canvas, anomalies and delights await revelation, promising stories that in another realm, perhaps, wouldn't be whispered of with a chuckle. There it is, the Victorian morning. A complex tapestry woven from the simple fibers of daily ritual. You've only just begun to understand that in this reality, there's solace in routine, humor in detail, and a kind of artful intelligence in the way one navigates the expectations of an era that, while not a fairy tale, contains stories worth recounting to those who come next. The sun now hangs a little higher in the sky, warming the cobblestone streets with its gentle rays. As you step outside, the reality of Victorian society unfolds before you, a delicate dance of class distinctions that threads its way through every aspect of life. In your neighbours, you see reflections of a strictly hierarchical world, each person clad in the uniform of their station, be it the austere frock of a housemaid or the tailored suit of a gentleman. Their attire, a banner declaring their place in this intricate social order. A passing carriage splashes through a puddle, a reminder of the exuberant rain that last graced the streets a brief intermission in the performance of daily life. The horses are a pristine white, a testament to the wealth of their owner. Perched inside, a lady peers out, her gloved hand absently grasping a lace parasol, even as the day's potential sun jealously hides behind a layer of clouds. It's an apt metaphor, you think, for the Victorian class system itself, layers upon layers, keeping the reality hidden beneath layers of decorum. Your footsteps echo as you venture into the market square, a melting pot of society. Here thronged the huddled masses with baskets in hand, the working class, who must buy their daily bread fresh, their hands roughened by labour, their eyes glinting with both fatigue and resiliency. The market vendors call out in sing-song voices, offering fresh produce and vivid fabrics to entice. You notice a young flower girl offering her blooms with earnest zeal, pop of colour and charm in an otherwise drab routine. If a market can capture a whisper of hope and possibility in its bustling discourse, it is here, where rich and poor brush shoulders, however briefly. The rigid hierarchy of Victorian society decrees that everyone knows their place. The boundaries of class form invisible, yet impenetrable walls. As you stroll, you catch snippets of conversation, each a clue to the social labyrinth humans weave. "Can you believe the new director of the parish?" One woman muses, her bonnet a work of art, feathers gently brushing against her curls. "He's not from here, you know." Another responds with a harumping chuckle, reflecting on the idea that a newcomer could disrupt the long-time balance, the very nerve of it tinged with scandal. Victorian life requires a mastery of nuance. Consider the artful glances, each one telling its own tale at the supper party. Those from an old money lineage are distinct from their new money counterparts, not just in their attire, but in their mannerisms, less flashy in self-assurance. Historians still argue whether these differences were exaggerated by societal storytelling, or simply analysed to the lack of bread and circuses among the opulent. But peel back these layers, and you find the root of every class structure: money, or, more precisely, access or lack thereof. Rich industrialists flaunt their success through opulent mansions, while the gentry, who might find their pockets not as deep, hold on to their titles with pride, providing them a place on the rungs of societal echelons. Like a modern-day surprise, there's a humorous air to this Victorian etiquette of knowing one's place. At a grand ball, a dance card serves as a silent reminder, every twirl and bow performed with an eye on propriety. Many an heir or heiress dreams of deconstructing these confines, perhaps, murmured dreams of dashing off with a forbidden love, think Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet, for plot references, or the scandalous Lizzie Siddal, whose pursuits among the pre-Raphaelites defy categorization. You weave through society like a needle through fabric, observing the subtle stitchings in a very human tapestry. There's comfort and challenge here, a double-edged sword that governs each interaction, every step leading to a deeper understanding. The expectations seem inescapable, but there are quiet partnerships made hidden gestures, and knowing looks shared across class divides. Here and there, a touch of rebellion scrawled in a poetic journal, tucked secretly between tomes on the bookshelf, burns with the promise of change. With these reflections, you find yourself at a crossroads, a lane that splits between two stately mansions, symbolizing the societal classes, side by side, but worlds apart. To your left, the facade of an estate adorned in ivy. The smooth stone, presenting an air of permanent sight, houses the old wealth, steeped in tradition, unshaken through centuries. To your right, a newer mansion, every corner polished to an unblemished chenier beacon of industry and evolution, not quite fitting in the aged streets, its presence still a jarring hope in reflection. Pondering your path, you realize that for all its constraints, Victorian society presents you with options, one of conformance or one of quiet rebellion. Each path offers trials of identity, a kaleidoscope of interactions, ever shifting, a gentle reminder that although this ardent world feels unfamiliar, the strength and spirit of the human experience speak a universal language. Stepping onto the cobbles, you traverse this Victorian morning renewal, leaving behind pictures of what remains roles cemented in structure, yet softened with possibility, a world resonating with quiet murmurs, vivid sketches of class distinctions brushed to life on the canvas of an epoch. With each step you find yourself discovering more, as the song of the Victorian age continues to unfold, its melody, a fusion of harmony and discorder, sumptuous feast for the senses, as the dance of the social order reveals itself in everyday life. The Victorian dining table stands before you as an arena of decorum and formality, an elegant stage, upon which the day's unspoken tensions and alliances play out, delicately veiled in the guise of etiquette. Every detail, from the arrangement of the silverware to the candle's flickering glow, is orchestrated with precision. This is not a mere meal, but a symphony of social performance, wherein every note must be faultlessly hit. As you take your place at the table, you're immediately drawn to the intricate lace tablecloth, its textures a tactile whisper of craftsmanship. The room is filled with the rich aroma of roasted meats and fresh-baked bread, the savory perfumes mingling to cloak you in comfort against the evening chill. Here, time seems to slow, turning moments into a slow waltz. Graceful maidservants glide between the guests, bearing offerings on gleaming platters. Understated as shadows, they move with the practiced ease of many years, ever conscious of the potential for spillage fraught with peril. Half-filled crystal goblets catch the candlelight, playing tricks with reflections, a reminder that appearances, like these goblets, are fragile, yet crucial. The seating arrangement reveals much, its nuances speak volumes in the silent language of hierarchy. The honorable guests are placed closer to the host, while those teetering on the edges of social standing linger at the table's outer limits, their forks hovering over fine china. It's a grand game of social chess, where every smile and nod plays into strategies as complex as any plotted in the smoke-filled clubs of London. Historians still debate whether these dining arrangements wielded actual influence or offered mere comedy for those amused by the importance placed on dinnerware minutiae. Anticipation hovers in the air like the mist of a fine wine uncorked and poured. The host, typically a man of some standing, would signal the beginning with a polite clearing of the throat. Conversations bubble to life, a gentle hum that fills the room. Words delicately dance from topic to topic, much like the steam rising from the brothy soup, following a strict etiquette all the while. One wouldn't dare let the horrors of industrial Lancashire breach the walls of such refined company. Only the more benign subjects, weather, music, perhaps the marvels of the world's fair air, fit for consumption. You can't help but notice the meticulous choreography each course invites. The napkins subtly unfold into fabric flowers on laps, while soup spoons are brought to lips with an exacting elegance, careful not to disrupt the carefully curated symphony of subtle clinks and murmured politeness. And oh, the disheseach is crafted with an artistry worthy of admiration, and represents an unspoken contest in culinary presentation. Amidst the stately ballet of dining, you decide to experiment with humor, sliding into the realm of Victorian absurdity. Yet delicacy is crucial. One does not jest outright about the tender roast, when comparisons to market stall fare would be scathing irreverence. Playfulness must be wrapped in good grace, like jellied fruits served for dessert. Cheekiness is possible, indeed applauded, if it can pass as clever with a small rebellion tucked behind a charming smile. At the other end of the table, a young lady attempts to navigate the boundaries of her father's verbose anecdote on their recent countryside excursion, a charade of interest glazed upon her features. Her compliance is its own performance. Behind her composure, inside jokes and calculated rebellious thoughts flit like moths, evading the flame of social expectation. At the conclusion of dinner, as all the formalities wane into relaxed comfort, an air of quiet satisfaction pervades the room. The final note of this evening's grand spectacle unfurls with the appearance of after-dinner port. Conversations have mellowed, falling naturally into gentle musings interspersed with genuine laughter. The fire in the hearth crackles softly, a counterpoint to the elegant quietude. You partake in this nightly ritual, reflecting on the intricate dancer-rich pageant, veiling the deeper truths of human nature. Just as each silver fork must be arranged to the host's expectation, so too must each guest navigate their forked paths of choice and fidelity. Here, in this room brimming with fineries, you stand in awe of the ladies managing pointed questions with poise, the men with their practiced nods and thoughtful pauses, digesting not just food, but the unseen balance of power, position, and pride. As the gathering slowly disperses, leaving only fading laughter and the gentle clinking of glasses being cleared, you are reminded of how these meals transcend mere sustenance. Instead, they bring to light the invisible tapestries of connection and contention binding Victorian life. So, you tiptoe back to the gentility of the past, satisfied by the symphony of Immerse concert that continues to perform well into the depths of memory. This dining room, with its flickering shadows and warmth, remains a gallery of refined gestures and understated dialogues, a place where the great canvas of Victorian society is painted anew each evening. As the echoes of this evening fade, you find comfort in knowing you've tasted more than fine cuisine. You've feasted upon an era intricately served with etiquette and expectation, wrapped in the endless flow of genteel discourse. As the evening deepens, the art of conversation becomes the centerpiece of the Victorian social world, a delicate performance, akin to a minuet in its rhythm and grace. You find yourself nestled in the drawing room, a bastion of softly muted colors and plush upholstery, where the flicker of the gas lamps dances across the walls, casting shadows that stretch and curl like wisps of an untold story. Within this cozy sphere, conversations are not just exchanges of words, but rather an intricate ballet of wit, charm, and subtlety. Every syllable is carefully chosen, every gesture a deliberate brushstroke on the canvas of social interaction. The velvet hum of voices blends with the soft ticking of the grandfather clock, each conversation a thread in the tapestry of the evening. It's easy to forget that these seemingly effortless dialogues are governed by a labyrinth of unspoken rules. As you navigate from group to group, you learn that topics are as selective as the guests themselves. Discussions are doomed to remain superficial, safely cradling only those subjects that polish, rather than abrid summarizing weekend excursions, debating the latest novels, or musing on philosophical ideas that are safe and uncontroversial. Just remember that any discourse akin to politics or the rising social reform movements would certainly be off limits, an option one might humorously compare to inviting an elephant to the tea table. Your hostess, a woman of refined elegance and discerning taste, orchestrates the conversation as a conductor guides an orchestra. Her laughter is a well-placed staccato in the evening symphony. A flick of her wrist, and she draws out opinions, her eyes flickering to signal shifts in topic. She is keenly aware of each guest's inclination and ensures the speaking baton is passed smoothly, without awkward silence or impolite interruption. Among the guests, one man, let's call him Mr. Brown, for the sake of anonymity, recounts his recent expedition in such vivid detail that you can almost feel the grit of the dusty road underfoot. He describes the vibrant, chaotic energy of the marketplace he visited, with such enthusiasm that a few chuckles ripple through the room. As he speaks, you wonder whether histories written decades later might lavish such explorers with the grandeur they sought or view them with modern skepticism, questioning the motivations beneath their tales of discovery. And herein lies the heart of Victorian conversation. It is not merely about imparting fact, but about crafting a narrative, a story that hums with interest while upholding the gentle mirth expected by an audience of nodding heads and polite smiles. Every story, though possibly bereft of strict veracity, unfolds like a tapestry crafted with threads of truth and whimsy, reminder that storytelling is both an art and a game, a grasp toward making the mundane gleam. In your observations, you note an interesting trend. The young ladies, often overlooked during official business talks, find in post-dinner dialogue an outlet for understated rebellion. Through clever commentary on fashion or art, they flirt with boundaries, tongues sometimes edged with bite beneath saccharine sweetness. The subtle irony in their speech skirts a front, a delightful dance where the goal is to appear as charming as one is intelligent. Who knew conversation could be such a strategic endeavor? As the clock continues its steady march, you become aware of shorter snippets of conversation wrapping in the periphery. Two gentlemen discuss, with careful optimism, recent industrial advancements and the steam engine's potential impact. Meanwhile, a middle-aged woman retells an anecdote from her youth that becomes less plausible with each retelling how she allegedly caught the attention of the Queen at a garden party, embellishing with enough fervor to leave guests wide-eyed. Historians still argue whether these types of tales possess the roots of genuine experiences or serve purely as a social lubricant in genteel gatherings. You, however, observe and enjoy the theatre of it all. Here, in this gathering, there's no dire need for rigid honesty. Rather, it's the elegance of discourse and the harmony of interaction that are paramount. Your reminded crafters of excellent conversation have always known, just like chef show, to meld ingredients into a delicious concoction, regardless of what reality may actually serve. A gentle chime signals the evening is reaching its close. Conversations naturally begin to slow, finding resolution akin to musical phrases coasting towards the cadence. With final pleasantries exchanged and coattails collected, the circle of guests disperses into the night. You linger a moment more, savoring the rich auditory tapestry woven during this soirée. Emerging into the cool embrace of the outside air, you depart with more than a mere collection of dialogues. This evening has become an exploration of the social intricacies defining Victorian interaction, a reminder that sometimes the space between the lines of dialogue harbors the most telling stories. Encounters of this age carry the weight of practice and perfection, yet sparkle with brief glimpses of authenticity and shared human complexity. As you stroll away, you quietly dedicate yourself to practicing this art, the capturing of conversational subtleties and the crafting of worded mosaics, ensuring that more of Victorian life is unveiled with every unexpected revelation, and no jest, however gentle, gets left behind. The Victorian era is a time where clothing is far more than mere fabric. It's a language all its own, a symbol of status, respectability, and conformity. As you prepare for your day, your attire is a statement of who you are, or, more accurately, who society believes you ought to be. In every thread and button, Victorian dress codes carry the weight of expectation and identity. Standing before the mirror, you are acutely aware of the demands of such attire. For the ladies, lacing up a corset every morning is quite literally a breathless task. This garment, an intricate assembly of strings and whalebone, is as much a sculptor of social norms as it is of the human figure. Restricted by its grasp, it molds not just the physical form, but also the conduct expected from those who wear it. An interesting tidbit to note: during this era, the size of a woman's waist was often seen as an indicator of her moral character and absurdity that had real consequences in society's eyes. For men, the rigidity is found in starched collars and layered suits, a sartorial suit of armor, girding them for social engagements and business dealings alike. The morning coat, waistcoat, and trousers form a triad of respectability, each crease and fold carefully considered. To shirk such standards would be to declare oneself outside the respectable bounds of society, something akin to showing up at a modern workplace in pajamas, daring perhaps, but hardly advisable. As you step out, fully attired, the first thing to strike you is the weight of the outer garments, the frock coats, the bonnets, the splash of cravats, like an ornate palette of respectability upon the smoggy canvas of the bustling streets. Here, one's attire speaks before any words are uttered, each outfit a tailored declaration of identity. Walking through the park, you come across a group of children at play. Even their garments adhere to social strata. Young girl's dress is a graceful miniature version of her mother's, her pinafore carefully protecting it from grass stains that would belie the genteel image. A boy's sailor suit, worn when out for promenades, echoes the naval exploits that Britain's empire prided itself on. These tiny versions of adult wear whisper quietly of futures and responsibilities, yet to comb a somber reminder woven into each playful encounter. Clothing in Victorian society serves a crucial function beyond mere protection from the elements. It is a visual shorthand. Those dressed in factory smocks and simple woolen dresses are relegated to the lower classes, unseen and unnoticed like the whisper of a windstorm. In stark contrast, the rich textiles and vibrant hues of the upper class catch the eye, a reminder of wealth and power of wealth, so masterfully depicted by the divine satins and silks of evening gowns, that they seem to shimmer under lamps as if kissed by the moon itself. As you roam through this fabric forest, there are radical moments that cast a unique light on these sartorial diktats. Take the rise of bloomers, an early sign that not all would abide by these ironclad rules. Invented with practicality in mind for cycling and other outdoor activities, these were trousers for women, encapsulating an early whiff of change, reminiscent of the whispered intentions of suffragettes who would later challenge conventions. Such rebellion against the royal garment game underlines a deeper truth. The act of dressing is anything but neutral. It's no surprise, then, that historians frequently debate the weight of such clothing. Was it mere fashion, or did it aim to suppress or empower? Much like the conversations you recently partook in, clothing becomes a silent dialogue in which one is always engaged, willingly or otherwise. It's not just the material thickness or the tight seams that betray discomfort, but the awareness that stepping out in even one inappropriate garment may unleash a tide of scandal, a maneuver bordering on social suicide. Yes, you could imagine the ripple effects as if a lone coat pin were stuck afoul, sending ripples of shock through even the most unassuming afternoon tea. On occasion, there's room for humor among the swathes of cloth. Consider the fashionably tall hats men wore, silver-tipped canes in gloved hands, giving them a comical top-heavy appearance, as if a gentle breeze might shuffle them into a cartoonish wobble. A jocular reminder, perchance, that beneath all that structured grandeur, we're only human after all, capable of toppling over the trivial. As your day unfolds, you come to recognize that every encounter demands a new consideration of dress. Dinner invitations summon images of gowns adorned in layers of taffeta, while country outings call for less ostentatious, yet equally prescribed, wear. Through all these moments, a thread of individualism weaves in and out, suggesting that beneath the stiff layers, there's a yearning for personal expression. As evening descends, bathing the world in its softer hues, you return home, unwinding from the elaborate layers of the day. Each unhooked button is a step back into a more elemental self, leaving behind the enclosing framework of social expectations, if only for a few hours. In the quiet solitude of your room, the garments carefully folded and put away, you're left with the realization that while Victorian dress codes are both a burden and a boon, they most definitely weave together lives creating storied cloaks in which identity and resilience are draped. As you retreat into thoughts of tomorrow, you can't help but feel a pang of anticipation, knowing another day awaits, its sartorial complexities promising further flavors of this intricate dance. It is a dance of maintenance and rebellion, a silent conversation that endures, hinting at the dualities of freedom and constraint with each stitch, each layered fabric, rendering Victorian life a perpetual runway of the human experience. As the gas lamps glimmer to life and cast long, wavering shadows along the cobblestone streets, an undeniable allure sweeps across the Victorian world. The complex, often bewildering courtship rituals that guide personal relationships. This is no simple matter of love. Oh no, it resembles a game of chess, in which each move must be calculated with precision, every advance considered with strategic care. In this intricate dance of hearts and minds, social standing becomes paramount. Strolling through an immaculate gardenia, favored locale for these delicate engagements, you're met with a tableau of potential suitors, each casting furtive glances and weaving through the hedges like characters in a romantic drama. The air is perfumed with the subtle scent of rose and freshly cut grass, every breath tinged with anticipation and the silent rustle of silk skirts. Your attention is drawn to a particular pair, a young gentleman with a carefully tied cravat and a look of determined resolve. She, demure yet bright-eyed, the elegance of her lace picnic dress, offsetting a mischievous smile. Their conversation flows like the soft trickle of the fountain playing its melody nearby, each word a move on the board, measured and meaningful. In Victorian courtship, the language of flowers takes on an additional role, transforming bouquets into coded messages shared between sweethearts. A red rose might declare passionate love, whereas a demure daisy signals innocence. There's thought to be humor here too. Imagine a gentleman mistakenly presenting his lady with a bouquet heavy in marigold, symbolizing grief, all the while blissfully unaware, his declaration of affection going hilariously awry. Thrones of social propriety dictate that this ritualistic courtship is anything but private. It involves family dynamics, hinged often on fortifying social ties through advantageous marriages. Your role as an observer in this spectacle reveals eyes peeking through lace curtains and whispered reports exchanged in drawing rooms, where a potential union's advantages are weighed as meticulously as scales in an apothecary shop. Even amidst this jostle for social advancement, there exists in this intimate theatre an undeniable romance, a yearning expressed in secret notes passed during dances, and the lingering touch of a gloved hand. Each gesture, no matter how subtle, like the prolonging of a dance in a starlit ballroom or the sharing of an umbrella on a rainy afternoon, speaks volumes where words otherwise fail. The act of courting is not without its absurdities. Consider the rigorous calling tradition, whereby a gentleman is admitted to the lady's house, supervised heavily by chaperones or under the matronly watch of a household governess. This meticulous activity consists largely of cautious conversation, strained over tea and biscuits, embodying the notion that any impropriety might upset the chain of social equilibrium. Victorian society dictates that courtships are short-lived, once formal engagements commence. Yet, in this constrained time frame, there are many quiet rebellions relatives, planting seeds of romantic discord or ladies extending a coy, forbidden glance to a gentleman of lesser standing, whose charms are nonetheless irresistible. Some remarkable figures, like the infamous love-struck poet Elizabeth Barrett Browning, encapsulated their defiance in sprawling prose and secret elopements, highlighting the tension between tradition and personal desire. It's not uncommon for these rituals to spill into the realm of public events. Envision yourself attending the opera, where whispered sweet nothings blend with the swelling crescendos of the orchestra. Gown-clad attendees find their seating strategically prearranged for proximity to eligible machassa, clever pairing by familial arbiters intent on facilitating the required mingling to spur interest, all under the guise of cultural enrichment. Historians still argue whether these courtship conventions genuinely reflect societal desires or if they merely enforce economic alliances dressed as romantic endeavors. After all, the weight of modernity casts shadows on historical interpretations, dismissing these practices as passé, or, conversely, extolling them as examples of social unity. Cruising through these public promenades, you occasionally delight in wry humor coaxed out by the absurdity of calling cards Victorian matchmakers stapler inadvertently, leading to mistaken identities and amused anecdotes. Whether heralding a prosperous match or a fleeting flirtation, these moments remind you of the delicate balancing act required to maneuver through this elaborate social ritual. As couples retreat from these encounters, strolling hand in glove, the moon spilling subdued light over the orderly avenues, the anticipation of what's to come lingers on the cool night air. Engagements, born of courteous flirtations, often unravel slowly, like so many tightly coiled threads, unfurling into a vibrant tapestry of societal hope and private dreams. In the safety of evening's fading shadows, you find yourself pondering the paradox of Victorian courtship, a sublime blend of passion and propriety, entangling lovers within a web of societal norms, as enticing as it is restricting. Venturing further into the night's embrace, you understand that behind all the lace and niceties lies a deeply human desire for connection, a timeless quest for companionship. This Victorian world, brimming with custom and constraint, veils a tender truth: that love, despite its careful artifice, knows how to bloom in hearts, even when stifled by centuries of tradition. It picks its way between rule and romance, sprouting beneath the rigid structures, its roots tangled yet undeniably resilient beneath the surfaces of society's dance. As dawn breaks over your Victorian enclave, the scene shifts to the filtering light of a drawing room where women gather, each navigating the complex roles prescribed by society. The gentle rustle of skirts and the muted clinking of teacups blend into a hushed symphony, accompanying one of the most pivotal performances of the era life as a Victorian woman. To step into a lady's shoes in this period is to understand a world painted in restraint and expectations, yet deeply layered with subtle power. Picture yourself adorned in a morning dress, the fabric soft yet structured, cinched neatly at the waist and framing the silhouette society deems most desirable. It's an outward reminder of the roles you must play, dictated by both fashion and formality. Within these social sanctuaries, conversations unfold not altogether dissimilar from spirited chess games, tackling topics that tiptoe around propriety while flirting with mild intellect and occasional mischievous gossip. A sly smile here, an arch eyebrow there, the dialogue dances delicately around the margins of impermissibility. No ordinary life for the Victorian woman, one of home management and motherhood. Her role is woven into the tapestry of domestic duty, yet this is merely the surface. You gaze outside into the world, recognizing that from behind their lace curtains, women wield a quiet authority. They orchestrate their homes, in line with the growing Victorian ideal of the angel in the house, harmonizing household efficiency with moral rectitude. In truth, the reach of a woman's influence stretches further than mere hearth and home-encompassing philanthropy, art, and perhaps most tellingly, the world of literature. Here, women like Mary Shelley and the Bronte sisters found carving stories in the constraints of their home's challenged norms with words that echo with the fervor of independence and introspection, a written rebellion couched in the genteel canon of the time. Still, the societal wall remains steadfast. Women from different strata find themselves encased in distinctive frameworks. The well-born debutante must navigate seasons within the London circuit, honing her craft of securing a marriage that will strategically benefit her family's status. Meanwhile, women of the lower classes are enmeshed in labour, the weight of economy more perceptibly binding their roles. Consider for a moment the humorous juxtaposition brought by bloomerism flourishing across the Atlantic. These new trousers inspire both shock and intrigue, offering a liberating contrast to the confines of corsets and crinolines. Though met with controversy, they symbolize a growing awareness, a longing for agencia whisper against the cacophony of social rigidity. As you sip a steaming cup of Darjeeling, the fragrance is a gentle crescendo mingling with the bouquet of flowers adorning the table, a subtle nod to the grammar of florals as a language and art form secret confidences cherished among Victorians. Rising from the gathering, you're drawn to a portrait hanging above the mantline idyllic scene of domestic tranquility, yet juxtaposed with the undeniable gaze of steel-eyed resolve etched into the painted woman's expression. Historians still debate the extent of liberation these boundaries allowed, whether Victorian women merely conformed to romantic ideals or carved small sanctuaries of autonomy within their structures. Yet, amid these familial and domestic expectations, friendships bloom a tapestry, within itself an essential lifeline of shared experiences and refuge. Over tea and embroidery, alliances are forged, secrets whispered, dreams shared. Humor prevails as a trusty ally for these women who find themselves learning to move through their roles with finesse, often poking fun at the idiosyncrasies of their reality somewhere between the pages of an etiquette manual and the flutter of fans at societal gatherings. A well-placed jest or gentle sarcasm can disarm, allowing a moment of sincerity to surface in this dance of refinement. As the afternoon wanes, you draw upon this thread of resilience that weaves through Victorian womanhood women who remain steadfast through the quicksand of changing social landscapes. Their voices whisper from the past, urging you to understand their journey's depth, to acknowledge how their courage, both fierce and gentle, laid the groundwork for future narratives of feminine agency. In the fading light, you pause to reflect, contemplating how this multifaceted identity resonates well beyond its immediate confines. The graceful external performance conceals an internal world that beats with the heart of resilience and an unspoken determinatione, testament to the unique, unseen strength that defines womanhood in the Victorian tapestry. And as you turn back towards the bustle of the street, leaving the echo of those gathered voices behind, you cherish the enduring echoes of these women who, shrouded within the robes of history, held the quiet promise of changer transformative energy, ready to burst forth, much like the dawn after a long night. In Victorian society, the roles and expectations placed on men are as rigid and defined as those that constrict their female counterparts, yet they are shaped by the expectation of leadership and the burden of maintaining societal order. As you ready yourself for the day, meticulously knotting your cravat and buttoning your waistcoat with precision, the attire mirrors the weight of responsibility resting upon broad shoulders. A brisk stroll takes you through bustling streets and quiet lanes alike here, walking testament to both ambition and duty. Victorian men are expected to be pillars of the community, arbiters of morality, who embody the virtues of strength, stoicism, and stewardship. Each stride you take affirms your place within this societal structure, where so much hinges on reputation and conduct. As you pass a newspaper stand, the aroma of fresh ink mingles with the crisp morning air, offering both current affairs and escapism within its pages. These chronicles are a reminder of the world beyonder, world of commerce, politics, and the ongoing race of industry, in which Victorian men are expected to participate, wielding influence and effecting progress. Your journey leads you into the winding corridors of a gentleman's club sanctuary, reserved for conversation and camaraderie, a place designed to reflect the values of the era. Esteemed gatherings center around polished wood-paneled rooms, where cigar smoke curls in the air, lending the atmosphere a contemplative haze. Here, discussions unfold with the gravitas expected of future leaders and influential thinkers. It is a realm where connections are forged, deals brokered, and both intellect and wit are sharpened across the chessboard or billiard table. These formal associations offer a space for self-expression within the constraints of decoruma testosterone-fueled theatre that thrives on light banter and hearty debate. Among the sparkling glasses and deep armchairs, a camaraderie blooms, a bond often humorously explored through shared stories of illustrious ancestors and occasional youthful misadventures. At home, the role of Victorian men shifts toward family stewardship. Patriarchs, societal expectations whisper, must remain emblematic of virtue and discipline. Engaged in guiding his offspring and managing household affairs, albeit distantly, the irony is not lost that much of domestic life is navigated through robust delegation to their wives. Yet, within this responsibility lies the tension of societal expectation versus personal aspiration. Gentlemen partake in sporting events and leisurely walks in manicured gardens as a reflection of health and vitality. Here, a moment of reprieve rewards their diligence, offering both amusement and relief from the compartmentalized world of boardrooms and business ventures. In engaging with this Victorian masculine ideal, you notice a certain humor that resonates below the surface. From sporting tales that grow with the telling, to a playful jibe exchanged during a card game, there is room for merriment amidst the gravity. It is the shelter of humorous escapism that allows for earnest reflection, even as a gentleman might jest about the burden of expectation that rests heavily upon them, much like the weight of a homing pigeon upon one's pigeon loft. Not unlike their female counterparts, some Victorian men see the potential for change on the horizon. They explore new realms of science and industry more fully, perhaps leaning into unrestrained possibilities that embrace the promise of progress while delicately tiptoeing along the boundaries of established tradition. These liberal arts dreamers and reformers glimpse the dawn of a new age, often wrapped in scholarly debate over the length of brandy in an evening glass. Fascinatingly, the very clubs that bind these men to societal norms also spark interior reflection. As historians argue, do these institutions merely preserve the power structures of the day, or do they act as inadvertent seedlings for social reform? After all, even the most gilded cage can result in unintended flights of fancy. As the afternoon wanes, leaving shadows of wearied thought in its wake, you come to appreciate the duality of Victorian manhood. There is dignity in their responsibilities. Yet beneath this composed veneer lies perhaps a yearning for vulnerability, a hidden realm, wherein men too question their perceived roles, mull over unremarkable realities, and muse upon the shifting tides of the future. As you turn toward home, allowing the city's twilight to wrap you in its reflective embrace, the sense of balanceth, the habitual yet transformative, evokes the deeply human experience universal to the Victorian narrative. The roles borne by men, intricate and interwoven within societal fabric, unfold as fruits of a well-tended arbor, promising stability, yet blossoming towards change. Passing the lamplighter poised against the early evening fog, you pause to observe, pondering the symmetry between these designated roles, the expectations that define them, and the sociocultural landscapes they willingly inhabit. You feel the legacy these men forge with every Tredden inheritance, rich with complexity, shaped by duty and daring alike, and propelled toward reflection beneath the stars of another age. Within the bustling tapestry of the Victorian world, children stand as small yet pivotal threads, their lives governed by rules as strict as those placed upon adults, yet fraught with the distinct charm and challenges that youth entails. As the morning sun casts warm golden rays across the nursery, laughter and the scuffle of small feet reverberate against wallpapered walls, setting the stage for a day defined by both learning and leisure. The nursery is a microcosm of Victorian society. Teddy bears and dollhouses echo the worlds of adults, complete with their own hierarchies and narratives. Here, the day begins with routine, a ritual steered by nannies whose firm yet kind hands guide the children from bed to breakfasta, structured ceremony of jam and toast, each tiny seat carefully aligned with its place at the table, as if in rehearsal for future social gatherings. In such an environment, play is serious business. The games are echoes of adulthood, preparing children for lives filled with responsibilities and expectations. Little girls arrange elaborate teas for their dolls, practicing the art of conversation and hospitality that will one day translate to the real world. Meanwhile, young boys gallop wooden horses into battles of their own imagining, tin soldiers lined up in dutiful formation, a practice not unlike that of their father's own enterprises. Every gesture goes beyond simple amusement. It's preparation for roles they are expected to assume. The symbolism is not lost on you. These playtime activities mirror the societal blueprint, a subtle indication of paths laid before them like footprints in the sand, guiding them toward adulthood's shores. Education is another cornerstone of Victorian childhood, deeply infused with the values of the era. Boys often find themselves in the confines of rigorous public schools, taught by stern instructors, eager to impart knowledge, but just as swift with their discipline. These institutions serve as forges, molding boys into responsible men ready to assume roles in governance or commercia, straightforward path from recitation room to the parliamentary floor or the company boardroom. For girls, the curriculum differs significantly, steering them toward domesticity and refinement. Here, they learn the art of embroidery, music, and painting skills that reinforce the ideal of the accomplished woman. Such offerings reinforce their place within the societal hierarchy, a bittersweet reminder of limited horizons in the face of unfettered imagination. Beyond the academics, lessons in etiquette are interwoven subtly into their everyday lives. Each curtsy and properly placed fork becomes a rite of passage, an echo of the same manners they see modeled by the adults around them. Little wonder that these rituals are filled with a humor of their own. The absurdity of being scolded by one's elder sister for forgetting to use the fish knife properly lends itself to an amusing household tale, retold with boisterous laughter in years to follow. As the clock strikes an hour of freedom, the outdoors calls, promising brisk breezes and the laughter of peers displaced upon manicured lawns or echoing across village greens. In these realms, even children understand their roles, the hierarchical family structures replicated as they rush headlong into games of hiding and seeking, or daring attempts at climbing trees that tower like both giants in their allegorical realm and rigid reminders of societal norms. Historians still debate whether Victorian childhoods were strictly formative, their purpose singularly focused on preparing little adults, or if they inadvertently allowed for the seeds of creativity and ingenuity to be sown, nurturing future thinkers and reformers. Even as these societal frameworks lock children within certain confines, the imagination brims with might, a wellspring of potential that rises to defy labels. In the quiet moments, there are story tales spun during bedtime that light up little eyes with wonder, weaving splendor into the shadows cast by the flickering flame. Perhaps they listen to Dickens' vivid imagery, or the exotic worlds promised by Kipling, where elephants and jungles inspire dreams as vast as the heavens. The closing of well-loved books caps the day, dreams yet untamed, as eyelids grow heavy under the lullaby's embrace. Returning to that nursery door in the day's twilight, you ponder the arc within the lives of these children, from regimented instruction to spirited play and philosophical bedtime, gazes at the stars beyond their reach. It is within these worlds, carefully constructed and attuned to nurture certain ideals, that the promise of the future quietly ferments, a ferment laced with expectancy and optimism. As the gentle hum of lullabies weaves through the night's cadence, you grasp the essence of Victorian childhood, a cocoon where safety meets expectation and delight dances with discipline. Each moment resonates with shadow and light, sculpted by caring hands, awaiting the day when these small lives blossom into their own, contributing fully to the tapestry of a time both steadfast in its tradition and endlessly inspired by whimsy and the shadow of change. Expect to see dreams unfurl in unexpected ways, for the fabric nurtured here is boundless, waiting to entwine with the sweep of history, its narrative ever evolving, a testament to both the challenge and charm of being young in an era where every day holds the potential for stories untold. As dawn casts its gentle light upon the cobblestones, we turn to the often overlooked world that lies beneath the grandeur of Victorian façades, a world inhabited by the servant class, whose tireless endeavours propel the engine of daily life. It is a realm of shadow and service, where the quiet hum of activity is as constant as the ticking of the grandfather clock in the parlour above. You slip into their quietly industrious world just as the first light peeks over the horizon, joining the bustling preparations that begin long before the household stirs. In the vast kitchen, you find the cook already orchestrating a symphony of pots and pans, the aroma of freshly baked bread mingling with the warmth of an early morning fire. It is a scene of practiced efficiency, each action performed with fluidity, born from years of experience. The servants' hall, with its bare simplicity, stands in stark contrast to the opulent rooms above. Here, laughter is muted, yet present as footmen, maids, and butlers go about their duties, reminder that camaraderie finds a way to bloom, even amidst the constraints of hierarchy. There's humour to be found in these interactions, the light-hearted banter across the table, or the shared jokes about the eccentricities of their employers. Their world operates on an unyielding schedule, the hours dictated not by the whims of the clock, but by the needs of the household, and thus, the brisk footsteps of housemaids carry them from one task to the next. From polishing silver to dusting the intricate crown mouldings, no detail escapes notice in their relentless pursuit of perfection. Navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the estate, you stumble upon the butler, a figure of dignified composure who wields a certain authority akin to the generals of the social order above. Historians still argue whether the butler's role as both mentor and gatekeeper wields influence greater than the title suggests. A well-timed quip here, or a deft deflection of a sensitive subject there, the butler's diplomacy proves invaluable as they preside over both the servant class and the household's guests. For the ladies' maids and valets, service reaches an art form as they tend to the personal needs of their employers. Their work involves not just attending to garments, but also the cultivation of truster, whispered confidence, or a discreetly mended hem, fuses professional responsibility with personal connection. You find humour in imagining the variety of stories these confidants accumulate over the years, rich with the nuances of human eccentricity. Down in the scullery, amidst basins of soapy water, you observe the scullery maid soften the youngest and least experienced immersed in the mundane yet vital task of cleaning. Their hands, reddened by the chill, scrub and scour, ensuring every plate gleams. From these nascent ranks emerge stories of quiet ambition and dreams, with many aspiring to positions of higher prestige within the household staff. As the morning proceeds and the household awakens, you sense the rhythm intensifying, a crescendo that culminates with family meals, evening fetes, or grand balls. Each event requires clockwork precision from the servant class, their actions choreographed to ensure seamless transitions from one course or conversation to the next. Amid these orchestrations, you note the humor that emerges from the inevitable missteps and spontaneities, the kitchen huddle to salvage a fledgling culinary experiment, or the hurried improvisation to replace a misplaced cufflink. The fleeting chaos and camaraderie echo the challenges and successes of those we scarcely see, yet whose presence is instrumental. Outside, the garden staff tend to the manicured lawns and vibrant flower beds, painting the exterior canvas with organic splendor. Their work, while often underappreciated, imbues the household with life, each bloom a testament to their dedication and skill. A quiet smile might escape your lips as you spy a gardener gently scolding a wayward gnome, an emblem of their stewardship over this cultivated realm. Returning indoors, you recognize the intricate dance of scheduling that the household thrives upon a delicate balancing act overseen by the housekeeper, who wields her ledger like a seasoned conductor, keeping time as each duty is ticked off with competent precision. As evening descends, the frenetic pace gently wanes, settling into the hushed resolve of the midnight hours. The staff retreats to their small quarters, or to the comfort of the servants' hall, where laughter and repartee still find their place among the finely tuned routines. Yet, even in rest, there awaits the promise of tomorrow, of tasks undone, and small rebellions whispered about over candle-lit dinners in the kitchen. Finally, as you step back from the swirl of activity, you come to appreciate the patchwork of humanity that constructs the servant classe stalwart quilt, stitched into the fabric of Victorian life. With each shared smile and moment of silent resolve, they animate an era defined by class and circumstance, elevating an existence that might have remained purely functional into one touched by grace, loyalty, and hidden dreams. This realm exists, all enfolding, beneath the threshold of the grand, where every glance exchanged, every kindness wrought, and every jest quietly shared, hums with the essential truth of their enduring spirit. Thus, you depart this rich tapestry with the realization that beneath the layers of hierarchy there exists a bedrock foundation of resilience and quiet dignity, an unsung symphony echoing through the ages. As the morning unfolds, the pulse of Victorian life quickens with the allure of leisure and recreation, a fleeting opportunity to break from the constraints of societal duty and bask in moments of simple pleasure. In this age of steam-powered innovation and burgeoning urban life, Victorians find their amusements in a variety of pursuits that offer both respite and reflection. Imagine yourself now standing on the manicured green of a croquet lawn, the grass lush and inviting underfoot. Here, in the serene confines of a country estate or local park, gentlemen and ladies wield mallets with remarkable concentration. The soft thwack of mallet against ball punctuates the air, a rhythmic counterpoint to the lilting chatter of the players. Croquet is elegant yet leisurely, offering an opportunity for strategic play and social interaction, a civilized battle of wits, with no éclat-outing clashes, but plenty of competitive smirks and playful retorts. Within the city, the boisterous hum of a burgeoning populace creates a vibrant backdrop for public amusements. A walk along the promenade is as much about being seen as it is about taking in the fresh air. Here, the sea breeze carries with it the sense of salt and adventure, mingling with the laughter of children dashing toward the waves, oblivious to the cares of the formal world behind them. As you stroll past throngs of couples and families enjoying the day's offerings, you pass a quaint bandstand. The brassy strains of a military band ripple through the air, evoking a sense of both patriotism and peace. Couples pause to listen, subtly tapping their toes or joining hands for a brief waltz, a dance that speaks to the Victorian desire for harmony amidst an age marked by rapid change. Should your mood incline towards more active pursuits, you might find yourself drawn to the cycling clubs that have sprung up in response to the new safety bicycle. This marvelous contraption, with wheels of equal size, offers not only novel recreational potential, but also a subtle nudge towards social change. Women, donning more practical attire, embrace these freedoms with a gleam of quiet rebellion in their eyes, cycling side by side with their male counterparts. As the day stretches luxuriously onward, you find a peaceful enclave in one of the many museums or zoos that have become increasingly popular. The British Museum, with its grand collections and air of scholarship, beckons the curious, offering a respite where knowledge is celebrated as leisure. Here, historians might still debate whether the awe of ancient artifacts served more as education or sheer spectacle, but you find solace in the gentle murmur of discovery that fills the halls. For those inclined toward nature, the action is found in gardens both public and private, where horticulture reveals its evolving artistry. Botanical gardens, with their meticulously curated arrays of exotic plants, transport visitors to other worlds, where blooms from distant lands tell stories far beyond the reach of the empire's maps. Breathing in the scent of vibrant flora conjures images of exploration, a gentle reminder of humanity's unceasing quest to understand the natural world. Evenings herald the allure of the theatre, the wellspring from which the Victorian fascination with spectacle flows. As gaslight illuminates the stage, you are swept into a realm of melodrama and operatic enchantment. The audience is an unabashedly lively entity, reacting with applause, gasps, and the occasional humorous aside your fellow theatregoers, much like a chorus, adding texture to the performance. And no description of Victorian leisure would be complete without noting the fading social pastime, the calling card ritual. This ritual, both comedic and complex, echoes the methods of social interaction during this era. Dropping cards at the homes of acquaintances ensures both propriety and the opportunity for being invited to intimate soirées events marked by shared stories, music, and laughter whose echoes linger long after the carte de visite are tucked discreetly away. Amidst these varied pastimes, the Victorian penchant for leisure finds itself seated alongside restraint, each diversion a reminder to balance propriety against the whims of enjoyment. You may envision your humorous self contorting slightly with each round of charades, or recall fondly an anecdote from a reading circle where a little too much sherry prompts a block-quaking recital of Tennyson that unfolds with uproarious gusto instead of solemn reverence. As twilight drapes itself gently over the day's end, you find your thoughts drifting towards the rich layers of Victorian recreation choreography, uniting both constraint and creativity, its motives as varied as the society that fosters it. Whether on the croquet lawn, the theatre stage, or wandering amidst museum corridors, the essence of these activities beckons with an enduring cultural embrace. With the moon rising to cast a soft glow over gardens and city streets alike, you come to know the Victorian pursuit of leisure as both a reflection and refuge, offering respite from the worlds they weave, while nurturing the bonds of humanity that sing still in their modern echoes. As you quietly retreat, the melodies of the day linger, a gentle reminder of the joy, jest, and nuanced ease found beyond their polite veneers. As you wander from the warmth of leisure back into the heart of Victorian society, the dichotomy between public demeanour and private truth unfolds, before you a dance of duality, complex shadows cast by rigid rules. Here, public behaviour often resembles a grand performance with carefully practiced routines, while the more intimate realms of home reveal quieter, softer tones that reflect the human element at its core. Victorian society places great emphasis on appearances, a reflection of one's decorum and respectability. Whether strolling through Hyde Park on a Sunday afternoon, attending a church service, or partaking in the theatre of dinner parties, the need to maintain a certain respectable exterior is ever present. Your every action is steeped in an intricate ballet of manners, a language spoken fluently by those adept at navigating these social waters with grace. As you walk along the bustling streets filled with costermongers and hawkers peddling their wares-an illegal practice, surprisingly tolerated in specific locales, you note that the public sphere is marked by an almost tangible sense of expectation. The men, enveloped in a sartorial fabric of top hats and tails, exude propriety, while the women, sheathed in layers of meticulously arranged skirt and lace, strive to uphold familial honor and social standing. There exists in this realm a curious tension between duty and individuality, between the masks worn to conform and the hidden aspirations that breathe through the cracks of forced composure. Historians argue whether societal norms genuinely reflected inner convictions, or if they simply served as scripted roles in an elaborate play. The truth, perhaps, resides somewhere in between. At home, away from the public gaze, a realm of authenticity surfaces. Here, in the quieter confines of the drawing room, or behind the gates of a garden, the artifice of public life is set aside, revealing an environment where families write their own narratives, less hindered by the constraints of societal judgment. Within these spaces, spontaneity and levity are permitted room to flourish, and quirks and intimate humor more freely shared. Consider the drawing room gatherings, rendered more intimate by the waning candlelight. With a loosened corset string here, a discarded necktie there, barriers relax, allowing genuine exchanges to transpire. Conversations meander from earnest to absurd, leaping with unchecked wit and humor as anecdotes unfold with theatrical flair. The tales shared under these softer lights bind kindred spirits more dearly a joyful unity away from the frantic facade of public expectations. There's enrichment in these domestic spaces, where laughter and vulnerability draw loved ones closer together. They exchange stories that carry the scars and joys of the day, whether it be the slapstick landslide of a bungled shopping errand or the gentle teasing of a family card game, interrupted by the errant yowl of a wayward kitten clambering across the table. Such moments brighten even the dour days, a testament to the strength found in familial connection. Yet, even these familial sanctuaries are governed by their own set of rules, including unspoken codes and graces layered into the very fabric of society's interwoven relationships. Here, entrenched roles ensure expectations are met, providing a framework in which human emotion finds both restraint and release. Within this realm, you recognize that humor, taken with a touch of irony, can soften the rigidity of living in a century, bound by societal expectations. Sometimes the clandestine stories or whispered secrets that blossom within a family circle become the most cherished, offering a surprising mirth that gilds routine with layers of unexpected joy. As you reflect on the complex interplay between these two worlds, the public and the Privetta street urchin whirls by with outstretched arms, his destination as unknown as the future he dreams of beyond cobblestone confines. His escapade, a playful reminder that even amid the most steadfast norms, slivers of lightness remain to glimmer through the veil of decorum. In both public and private spheres, there's a kind of beauty, woven from the dichotomy of existence, that reflects a range of human emotions. From those moments spent guarding personal freedoms to those dreams tucked away with hope beneath the pillow, the Victorian world shimmers with authenticity, peppering its certainties with soft gradients of uncertainty and mirth. That night, as you prepare to retire, the contrast finds closure, a soothing blend of the day's chaos and peace, bursting with shared hopes and collective stories. It's in these moments that Victorian life blossoms most vividly, rippling with an elegance that speaks to the heart of humanity. Reminder that beneath the surface, no matter how polished or practiced, lies the complex interplay of theatre, truth, and the enduring promise of connection unwavering through time. In the heart of Victorian England, where the industrial chimneys exhale their sooty breath into the sky, the topic of health and hygiene emerges as a realm of both intrigue and evolution. The air, once deemed invigorating, often carries a pallor of smoke that clings to fabric and skin alike. As you navigate these streets, the contrasting views on cleanliness and health are as stark as the boundaries between the classes they often define. In this era, medical knowledge is both burgeoning and bewildering. As you wander through the bustling thoroughfares, quackery and genuine scientific advancements coexist uncomfortably. Apothecaries grace the corners with panaceas aplenty, reassuring patrons with promises of miraculous cures in elaborately labelled bottles. The world of Victorian medicine is fortified by peculiar belief sleep therapy, still popular, albeit waning, and home remedies embellished with dashes of superstition, like applying mustard poultices or onion syrups. You might find it amusing when some visit the famed British spa places like Bath or Harrogate, believing the waters to offer therapeutic solace. The idea that a well-timed soak in such magical springs could deter ailments ranging from rheumatism to melancholy within the muscle, warming embrace of mineral-rich baths. On the domestic front, the rising awareness of germ theory begins its slow burn through public consciousness. While early acceptance proves slow amid long-standing practices, the tide gradually turns, spurred by groundbreaking scientists such as Louis Pasteur, whose research sheds new light on the invisible world of microorganisms. This scientific awakening introduces ancillary hygiene measures, often clashing with prevailing norms. Yet, historians still debate whether this revolutionary shift in understanding truly permeated the day-to-day practices of the era or merely flickered in its infancy, awaiting an age more welcoming to its insights. Cleanliness at home and personal hygiene, however, often remain elusive for many. The advent of indoor plumbing, a nascent amenity, grants a privileged few the luxury of a hot bath at their convenience, while others in crowded tenements make do with tepid communal washrooms, where privacy is a whispered luxury, savoured only by the more affluent. The weekly bath, a centrepiece of middle-class Victorian hygiene, provides welcome relief from institutional strictures. Even more so is the morning scuba ritual, charged with cold water's jolt, a relatable foible of character building for young lads and lasses who grow attuned to its bracing charm, not least humorously immortalized in tales where characters flee so quickly from the shock that they leave puddles in their wake. For all genders, hair washing is less frequent, often replaced by powders or vigorous brushing to keep grease and grime at bay. These routines create their own social hierarchies in households with staff. Maidens deftly wield hairbrushes like artisanal tools, coaxing luster from strands coated with camphor or rosewater. Such daily practices craft a bond, unspoken yet tangible, as intimate as any interpersonal exchange. Disease, meanwhile, looms a darker reality, indiscriminate and ubiquitous. Cholera and typhoid rise like spectres in this age of close quarters and inadequate sanitation, challenging the resilience of the populace. Conversely, a nascent health consciousness ignites enthusiasm for scientific strides. Urban parks and botanical gardens see rejuvenation as places of air and exercise, their very existence a salute to the necessity of juxtaposing urban sprawl with fresh air's verdant embrace. Amid these practices, the humorous art of creatively avoiding odors becomes skillfully crafted, a bouquet of dried lavender near a bedpost for sleep's sweet embrace, or unexpected zigzagging when walking to avoid an open sewer with a comic snippet. Here and there each, an earnest effort in striving for a space unsullied by London's layered aromas. As the shadows deepen with the evening and the gaslights flicker above, you reflect on how health and hygiene waver between ignorance and enlightenment in the Victorian era, precarious balance of convention and progression. It's an era alive, with contradictions wound tight, whether in the dusty folds of crinoline or the wafting scent of camphor that hints at care rather than cure. Victorian life layered, complex, but beautifully human continually dances to a rhythm composed by aspiration and reality's duality. As you find yourself retreating from the day's explorations into the comforts of an iron-framed bed, you drift into dreams of gardens scented with lavender, pastures as green as any ink-smudged map of the empire, a world where health and hygiene, conflicted yet evolving, continue to weave their presence across time's tapestry. Just as much mystery as knowledge awaiting future, deciphering through curious minds of the present, journeying beyond these Victorian veils. As the gentle chime of church bells echoes through the misty morning air, you find yourself drawn into a world where religion holds a steadfast sway over the rhythms of Victorian life. An omnipresent force, religion's influence permeates not only the hallowed sanctuaries of worship, but also the very fabric of daily existence. It weaves a tapestry of moral guidance and communal cohesion, stitching souls together amid the era's social complexities. The grand architecture of cathedrals and chapels, with their soaring spires and intricate stained glass, reflect a world in which faith serves as both refuge and dominion. As you enter these sacred spaces, the scent of polished wood mingles with the faint aroma of candle wax, creating an atmosphere both hushed and profound. The morning service, orchestrated by the steadfast intonations of the clergy, resonates within these walls, a reminder of divine watchfulness that guides the moral compass of those gathered here. In Victorian society, religion is far more than a mere Sunday ritual. It is a lens through which individuals and families view their purpose and conduct. It informs attitudes toward charity, shaping the ways in which the fortunate extend their hands to the less privileged. As such, acts of benevolence and philanthropic endeavors are often seen as both spiritual duty and societal necessity. Yet, even within this seemingly uniform landscape of piety, there exists rich diversity, mirrored in the denominations that flourish. From the stern Calvinists to the ritualistic High Anglicans, the spectrum of belief offers a varied tapestry of religious experience across the lands. The nonconformists and Methodists add their voices to the chorus, emphasizing personal faith and social justice, while the intoxicating fervor of revival meetings sparks inspiration among congregants. As you muse upon these aspects, debate arises. Historians still contest the extent to which religious fervor genuinely inspired Victorian moral actions, or whether it merely served as a socially advantageous costume. Regardless, the piety is real, finding expression in the careful curation of virtue through reverence, generosity, and introspection. Beyond the pews, religion extends its reach into education, with Sunday schools and mission halls proliferating, providing moral instruction as essential as literacy itself. Here, children learn stories of biblical heroes through vivid illustrations and didactic hymns, reinforcing lessons of virtue and enduring community bonds. The solemn echoes of chorused prayer capture your attention, a melodic thread weaving through childhood memories into adulthood's fabric. In the homes of Victorian England, religious observance is often a familial affair. Evening prayers, whispered beneath dim gaslight, or morning devotions shared around the breakfast table, infuse everyday existence with solemnity and sanctity. The well-worn family Bible, its pages creased by generations of fingers, stands as a testament to faith's enduring presence amidst the complexities of life. Humor finds its way into this tapestry of devotion, as it is wont to do amidst earnestness family stories of sermons that seem to stretch like eons, testing the patience of young minds restlessly eyeing the outdoors, or the friendly jabs about parish gossip murmured during less than holy lulls. And among the clergy, the token absent-minded vicar provides gentle amusement with sermon snafus or forgetful musings, to which memory eventually assigns kindly fondness. Nevertheless, beneath the veneer of piety, real and pressing issues churn quietly like reactions against the rigidity of the establishment, or the deeper philosophical queries prompted by the age of scientific exploration. Notable thinkers, such as Charles Darwin, introduce evolutionary theories that ripple through intellectual circles, inviting contemplation and challenge to age-old doctrines. Herein lies a growing dichotomy between religious conviction and scientific advancement, two worlds set to converge and diverge in the balance of future revelations. Amidst these tensions, the Victorian zeal for mission work extends beyond borders, propelled by the moral imperative to spread religious enlightenment throughout the Empiria controversial enterprise, perceived by some as noble outreach, and by others as imposing cultural dominance. As dusk settles gently over the skyline, casting a warm glow that filters through stained glass windows, you consider how the world of Victorian religion reflects not simplistic dogma, but a nuanced interaction between faith and circumstance. It is a realm in which ideals and challenges coalesce, voices raised in hymnal unison amid the tumult of evolving understanding. Retreating from these sacred halls, you carry with you a profound respect for the depth of belief and conviction that underscores Victorian life. Within this realm, faith transcends the sanctuaries it inhabits, guiding hearts and minds amid a landscape of questions, hopes, and whispered dreams. It is, at its heart, a symphonic movement of spirit, striving to reconcile with a dynamic world. As you depart, leaving behind the echoing stillness of the nave, the hymn's cadence lingers a gentle reminder of religion's resplendent influence, both binding and freeing, amid a society steadfast in its search for balance between the sacred and the secular. Dance rich with both consequence and grace. As the warm glow of the morning sun spills over the rooftops, you find yourself immersed in the educational world of Victorian England, a place where knowledge and curiosity weave together to form the backbone of society's intellectual fabric. Within the hallowed halls of institutions both venerable and newly established, the pursuit of learning unfolds with dramatic intensity, reflecting the era's drive for progress and enlightenment. During this period of transformation, education begins to break free from the confines of privilege, extending its reach beyond the upper echelons of society. The Education Act of 1870, a landmark reform, sets the stage for mandatory elementary schooling, ensuring that even children from working-class families receive the basic tenets of literacy and numeracy. Here, within the bustling classrooms, the clamour of young voices fills the air, accompanied by the gentle scribble of chalk on Slattery's symphony of learning in motion. Imagine yourself seated at a polished wooden desk, your mind thirsting for knowledge, as a stern yet earnest teacher leads the class through lessons in arithmetic, history, and geography. The windows open to let a cool breeze into the room, mingling with the scent of ink and paper. Through a mix of rote memorization and recitation, students absorb the fundamentals, sketching the boundaries of a rapidly expanding world upon their eager minds. Within these classrooms, the curriculum often reflects societal ideals and values, with an emphasis on moral instruction alongside academics. For boys, the goal is clear: to produce diligent workers and future leaders, adept in managing affairs of business or governance. Science and mathematics are introduced, sowing seeds of critical thinking and innovation that will later bear the fruit of industrial advances. The education of young women, however, remains more complex and, at times, restrictive. Schooling often emphasizes the development of accomplishments such as music, embroidery, and the domestic arts, preparing girls for their roles as wives and mothers. Yet, even within this framework, schools like Girton College, established in 1869, serve as crucibles for change, empowering women with broader educational opportunities and setting the stage for future progress in gender equality. Beyond the confines of the classroom, the intellectual life of the era thrives on curiosity and debate. Reading societies and literary clubs flourish, offering venues for individuals to explore literature, philosophy, and the sciences. In drawing rooms and salons, both learned dignitaries and spirited amateurs engage in animated discussions, advancing ideas that challenge conventions and expand horizons. Here, lively debates pulse through the air, fueled by the pages of newly published works and the innumerable scientific discoveries igniting public imagination. Notable figures of the intellectual circle, such as Charles Darwin and Mary Anningad, to the zeitgeist, proffering theories of evolution and prehistoric marvels that captivate and provoke. The quirk, the charm, the stimulating humor endemic to such gatherings ensure fiery exchanges softened by laughter and camaraderie, even as they occasionally spill over to spark impromptu debates on supernatural interventions or spiritualism. Scholarship fairs touch every cranny of society, as emerging technologies disseminate knowledge further afield than ever thought possible. Newspapers and periodicals become accessible windows to the larger world, each edition an instrument of enlightenment that distills complex social, political, and scientific topics into digestible content for the masses. As historians debate the true impact of formal education against self-driven inquiry during this era, they often point to the tantalizing balance between tradition and innovation, a balance shaped by a rich interplay between the established and the emerging. Educational institutions may guide structured learning, but the pursuit of knowledge stretches into every domain of Victorian life. Specializing in humor through problem-solving skills or subtle wordplay, Victorian thinkers occasionally resort to imaginative paraphrases or riddling questions, enhancing discussions and enlightening minds eager to understand the workings of the universe. These gatherings can resonate with warm laughter over obscure lines of poetry, or the comedic mishap of misquoting Byron, demonstrating a conviviality of intellect, tempered with jest and wry observation. As twilight silhouettes the hills and rooftops, you consider the persistent quest for understanding that defines this vibrant area shared journey that connects the learned scholars with curious children, each eager to unravel the mysteries of their complex world. It is, at its essence, an adventure charged with possibility and echoing through the generations, eager for new challenges and triumphs of thought. And with this, as your mind digests the vibrant tapestry of Victorian education, you pull back from the immediate passivity of yonder day's experiences, hoping to harbour those brisk winds with anticipation and reverence before the fall of day. Leaving the realm of Victorian academics behind, a quiet satisfaction settles over you, a keen awareness that the thirst for knowledge kindled in this era endures, forever nurturing the human spirit's boundless capacity to dream and discover. As the Victorian dawn awakens with a gentle golden hue, you find yourself drawn to the realm of philanthropy and charitia, vibrant tapestry, where the ethos of benevolence intertwines with social expectations and moral convictions. Within this milieu, the wealthy and well-connected wield their fortunes for causes perceived as noble, leaving indelible marks on both the sprawling metropolises and the humble villages that define the landscape. In the genteel drawing rooms and bustling salons of the upper classes, conversations often turn to matters of charity. It is here, over steaming cups of tea and beneath glittering chandeliers, that philanthropic strategies take shape, driven by a mix of genuine desire to assist and the social imperative to manifest one's uprightness. To be philanthropic is not just fashionable. It is, in many quarters, regarded as a dutier confirmation of moral superiority that upholds one's esteemed position in society. You picture yourself seated among these do-gooders, their well-practiced discourse weaving tales of welfare reform, support for orphanages, and improvements in public health. The air vibrates with purpose, as visions for social betterment unfold, each devised project carrying a hint of altruism, yet subtly tinged by the magnetic pull of societal prestige. At the forefront of these endeavours stand some notable figureswomen like Florence Nightingale, who push the boundaries of conventional roles, channeling their influence and passion to spearhead reforms in areas like healthcare. Her pioneering work not only changes perceptions within the field of nursing, but also serves as a beacon for others to follow in her footsteps, challenging the status quo in unexpected ways. Beyond individual efforts, charitable organizations and religious groups step squarely into the fray, their collective efforts reaching across counties and towns. Groups like the Salvation Army and Barnardo's gain prominence, providing aid and support to those less fortunate. Soup kitchens, missions, and shelters emerge as crucial lifelines for countless individuals, drawn by the lure of a warm meal and the assurance of sanctuary. Despite this broad spectrum of contribution, there's still an undercurrent of debate. Historians argue whether such charity serves to strengthen societal divides rather than bridge them, offering temporary alleviation of hardship rather than addressing systemic issues. Yet, for those who benefit from these efforts, such gestures signify a glimpse of humanity amid the somber hues of socio-economic disparity. Now, shift your gaze to the vibrant street corners and marketplaces where charity finds form in unexpected corners. The clink of coins dropped into a beggar's cup or the dozen eggs gifted to a struggling neighbor, moments of kindness that infuse daily life with compassion, reflecting society's heart. The warm humor of these humble exchanges, whether a light-hearted jest shared at the moment or a humorous recounting repeated at a tavern later, weaves a beautiful counterpoint to life's daily challenges. Moving from the public eye to more discreet acts, you notice hidden but heartfelt gestures scattered among richer circles. An unsigned donation made to repair a leaky school roof, or an anonymous benefactor ensuring a widow's lodgings through the harsh winter season. These quiet kindnesses, uncoiling like ribbons upon the weave of life, offer inspiration to nearby watchers and impel curiosity toward the mystery of the giver's identity. Philanthropy, however, is not confined solely to financial offerings or grand gestures. In a world where literacy is a fresh bloom across the populace, there grows a movement towards self-help libraries, night schools, and educational lectures designed to uplift and inform. A testament to the era's thirst for knowledge, these endeavors provide their patrons with opportunities for intellectual nourishment and personal growth. Humor finds its home even here. Think of bumbling speeches at local societies or amateur performances that take delight in surprising their auditors with unexpected comic turns. As the evening sky gathers its deeper shade, an understated grace accompanies the continued dialogue of philanthropy. This dance, refined over the course of the Victorian era, bespeaks a bittersweet blend of altruism and expectation, the two swirling gracefully in tandem. For, as you sit back and reflect within the context of this intricate world, the threads of charity have interwoven lives-binding aspirations with deeply human sentiment. And thus, as the gas lamps flicker awake on the now quiet streets, you acknowledge that the enduring legacy of this Victorian pursuit is a bittersweet giftan, eternal question of its effectiveness, balanced elegantly against the sheer beauty of its intent. Amid successes and imperfections, this dance of generous humanity finds a timeless rhythm, echoing down the halls of time with a grace inspired by kindness, hope, and the ever-present yearning to do good. It is this search, encompassing the laughter and shared twinkle of kind eyes, that lingers an inspiring chronicle upon the pages of history, a reminder that even in worlds divided, connection and compassion will always hold the power to unite and elevate, leaving footprints on the road heralding society's onward journey. As dusk settles over the Victorian landscape and the world transitions from the soft hues of day to the inky shadows of evening, the intricate tapestry of law and order unfolds before you, an arena where justice is dispensed and societal norms are fiercely upheld. With an array of stern judges and steadfast constables, the Victorian legal system stands as both a bulwark of societal stability and a crucible for reform and controversy. Your journey begins within the imposing walls of the courthouse, a solemn edifice that commands respect with its Doric columns and echoing chambers. As you traverse these hallowed halls, you encounter clerks scuttling about with stacks of parchment and ink-stained fingers, the murmured cadences of legal proceedings weaving through the air. Here, justice takes the stage, ruled by wigs, robes, and the weight of centuries-old tradition. At the heart of this judicial theatre is the pivotal role of the judge, an arbiter whose gavel wields the power to shape lives and futures. The oak-panelled courtrooms resonate with the eloquence of barristers and the restrained energy of the jury, each member wielding their own share of destiny's tapestry. Public hangings, capital punishment, and transportational hallmarks of this era's judicial approach underline the severity with which transgressions are met. As you observe the proceedings, you note a peculiar blend of rigidity and flair in the courtroom dynamics. A barrister, his wig slightly askew, delivers an impassioned defense with dramatic gesticulations and a sparkle of wit that occasionally inspires the barest flicker of amusement among the otherwise stern-visaged jury. Humor, in doses modest and subdued, finds its place here. The occasional barbed remark or quick rebuttal drawing stifled chuckles that ripple through the assembly. Beneath the grandeur and solemnity, however, the Victorian legal system grapples with significant challenges. Amidst the thicket of laws, inconsistencies abound, provoking historians to debate whether justice truly reflects societal equity or merely perpetuates class divides. With great earnestness, reformers begin to advocate for changes in sentencing and prison conditions, as awareness grows of the dire circumstances suffered by those ensnared by the system. Beyond the courtroom, the steadfast bobby patrols, the cobblestone streets, the familiar constable's helmet, an emblem of public safety. There presents a symbol of orderers, weighted with the expectation to maintain peace amidst the bursting seams of the urban landscape. Carrying no firearms, merely a truncheon and a whistle, they embody both the quiet authority and community trust imbued by their roles. Despite the solemnity, there are lighter moments to be found in their daily patrols, the bobbies on their beat, encountering neighborhood characters and responding to trivial disturbances with patience and a touch of humor. One can imagine a scene where a feline has captured a beloved hat, leading to spirited chases and laughter shared among bystanders, the incident eventually becoming a story retold and embellished over pints at the local pub. Meanwhile, within the darkened confines of the prison yard, the spectre of justice becomes entwined with human fortitude. The condemned pace their cells, trapped between walls that echo society's repudiations. Yet, there are tales of redemption to a life reformed through the unexpected kindness of a visitor, or hope kindled by the knowledge that reforms, albeit slowly, are gaining traction. The adult penal system is frequently unforgiving, wrought with tales of harsh conditions, yet the birth of reformative thought signals change. Figures such as Elizabeth Fry emerge, her tireless advocacy giving voice to the necessity of more humane conditions and education within the justice system. Her influence extends far beyond the prison gates, urging a reconsideration of corporal punishment and advocating for rehabilitation rather than retribution. Children, too, find themselves wrapped within the realm of Victorian legal construct. The eternally debated issue, how to manage offences by the young, inspires public discourse and reform, resulting in a burgeoning awareness that care and guidance, rather than punitive measures, bear the potential to redirect youthful missteps. Thus, the juvenile reform system, though nascent and imperfect, takes its first tentative steps forward. As evening's embrace deepens, shrouding the legal fortress in a cloak of silence, you come to understand that the Victorian legal realm, like its society, is a landscape of contrasts. Order and upheaval, rigidity and reform, these elements weave an intricate pattern, one whose threads tell stories of deterrence and compassion, of power checked by burgeoning understanding. Reflecting upon these experiences, you recognize that the heart of Victorian law and order lies in the delicate balance between tradition and progress. Amidst the varied voices, advocates, defendants, and the community at large, the quest for justice dances upon a tightrope, seeking equilibrium in a world teetering between Victorian constraint and the inexorable drift toward modernity. As you walk away from these austere halls, leaving behind the echoes of verdicts past, a respect for the relentless pursuit of fairness endures. In time, the sun shall rise on a justice system further reformed by its own introspection, its principles enriched by the wisdom and empathy nurtured through history's leçons, a beacon, marking humanity's enduring journey toward equity and understanding across every societal gradient. With the dawn's light gently cascading over the rooftops of Victorian England, your journey now leads to the realm of traveller world, ripe with possibility, where exploration stretches beyond the familiar confines of home. As the steely tendrils of the Industrial Revolution extend their reach, travel becomes a bridge between societal expectation and boundless adventure, forging new paths in an era where propriety still governs movement. The chugging power of steam engines heralds a transformative age, expanding horizons as mighty locomotives cut through the countryside with exhilarating speed. Railways, the arteries of this burgeoning era, connect cities and towns and offer a new kind of accessibility. You find yourself standing on the platform of a bustling station, the scent of coal and promise wafting through the air, mingling with the excited buzz of travellers eager to embrace the wonders beyond their parlour windows. Boarding this iron chariot of discovery, you are whisked away through verdant pastures and smoky industrial towns, the rhythmic clatter of wheels, a serenade that syncopates with your heartbeat. The compartment is a microcosm of society, from the pristine first-class sections filled with plush seating and carefully curated refreshments to the more utilitarian carriages, where the social order becomes a little less rigid, blending tales and customs in shared space. Travelling by train becomes a theatre of interactions, where the mundane unfurls into unexpected conversations and chance meetings. Historians often reflect on these journeys, pondering whether they democratized travel or merely echoed existing hierarchies within a beautifully cast metal shell. Further into your adventure, you find the allure of the seaside. Victorian enthusiasm for coastal retreats opens new vistas for recreation and relaxation, offering a canvas for both public display and intimate moments. The scent of salt and freedom intermingles with laughter and the sweet strains of organ music drifting from the pier. Promenading along the boardwalk, your senses are swept up in the vibrant symphony of hawkers selling penny licks, adventurous souls dipping into the waves, and the last rays of sun painting the horizon in hues of pink and gold. Yet, travel isn't limited to terrestrial confines. Victorian ingenuity sees the rise of elegant steamships, their sails plying oceanic paths that invite wanderers to far-off lands. As you board one of these floating palaces, the gentle rocking beneath your feet invites contemplations of distant shores and unfamiliar cultures. Here, amongst velvet-lined dining halls and camaraderie on deck, grumbles of adventure compete with the murmur of trade winds promising new horizons. These maritime journeys blend humor and challenge, from acclimatizing to life on sea's unpredictable cradle to finding camaraderie over lantern-lit card games amidst tales of high seas adventure. The Victoria and Albert's high society clientele, one might humorously remark, finding themselves alongside the occasional eccentric aviator or verbose former military captain, whose yarns incite eye rolls and laughter with every dubious retelling. Absorbing this rich tapestry of Victorian travel, you observe the juxtaposition of innovation and expectation. A ladies' travel ensemble remains demure, even amidst geological marvels or architectural grandeur, a gown serving as a reminder of reputation safely navigable across continents. Similarly, a gentleman's attire tightly tailored, cravat neatly folded, conveys a social duty transcendent of borders. Yet in such journeys lies subtle defiance and freedom, liberations shaped by the perception of anonymity within new lands, as even restrained decorum allows for small revolts. There is humor tucked within these societal norms, the awkward inversion of baguette and tea cake mistaken for one another, or a comical attempt at a foreign language that finds the listener none the wiser. Travelers find ways to navigate these mishaps with grace and wit, turning missteps into stories to regale fellow adventurers and homebound listeners alike. Back on firmer ground, Victorian travel extends beyond the conventional, reaching into the embrace of country estates, quaint villages, and bucolic landscapes that offer respite and inspiration. Here, nature's palette is waiting to be explored through picnics, hikes, and rustic idylls, a counterpoint to the dizzying pace of urban life and industrial excess. Paintings, poetry, and journal entries immortalize these escapes, underlining a universal yearning that propels human spirit to roam and connect. As twilight descends over these storied paths, your reflection centers upon the dualities of Victorian travel, an intersection of freedom and constraint, spontaneity and schedule, exploration and homage to destination. Travel, in its finest expression, is an echo of humanity's search for meaning, a dance of discovery that whispers through time's compass. You pause, taking solace in the understanding that the Victorian adventurers who sought to reach beyond their own horizons, driven by the tick of opportunity's clock, have left behind a legacy of exploration, a promise that beyond each voyage there lies enlightenment not just of new lands, but of the soulful tapestry with which all humans are intricately entwined. As you return homeward, your heart remembers the journey's echoes, the clatter of railway lines, the scent of the sea carried on a gentle breeze, and the thrill of distant lands beckoning from a traveler's dream. These experiences are tucked away like mementos, ready to spur the imagination onward, a compass, guiding each step through the evolving landscape of time and space. As the Victorian dawn unfurls, it unfurls upon an age brimming with technological marvels and burgeoning industry, where innovation dances with tradition on the great stage of societal evolution. In this era, the march of progress is both a symphony and a collision each. New invention met with a blend of awe and skepticism, as the nation grapples with the implications of a future hurtling forward at breakneck speed. Imagine the streets of London, alive with the energy of transformation. The click-clack of horse-drawn carriages now shares the thoroughfare with the whirring of wheels, as bicycles and the first motorcars create a new, thrilling rhythm. The air is charged with a sense of possibility, yet tinged with the coal-soaked breath of industrial plants, the gritty realities of production offering sharp contrast to technological dreams. Among these advancements, the electric light begins its ascent, casting gas-lit alleys into shadow. In public squares and private homes, the soft glow of Edison's invention offers a muted revolution, one that will come to define modern civilization. The shift from gaslight to electric bulb is as symbolic as it is functional, a testament to the ways in which technology steadily redefines the boundaries of night and day. You find yourself in a bustling drawing room, where the whisper of conversation weaves with the chime of a newly designed clock, a centerpiece of advanced horology that reflects not only the time, but societal progress itself. Within this space, the latest apparatus garners attention: the telephone, an otherworldly device that invites voices across distances to converse as if gathered in the same parlor. Initially, its presence is met with humor and bemusement. "Imagine," they jest, "if you could hear Aunt Mildred's opinions at the pressing of a button." Still, this innovation offers a radical redefinition of communication, a bridge across time and space that promises to dissolve traditional barriers. As technology reshapes urban landscapes, it also sends ripples through rural England, where steam ploughs churn fields more efficiently than a team of draft horses ever could. The countryside, with its rolling hills and ancient hedgerows, finds itself an intersection of the old and the newer place, where generations of agrarian wisdom meet the clanging impetus of machines. Historians often debate the true essence of this mechanical revolution. Does it elevate the common worker, offering them freedoms untold, or does it bind them further to the ceaseless demands of an unyielding machine, the relentless tick of progress echoing the factory's weave and thrust? It is a debate mirrored in drawing rooms and pubs alike, where earnest discussions draw out points of humor and irony. Imagine a farmer, cap askew, jesting with his neighbors as he examines the steam tractor with both wonder and an eye on the future. "What next?" he muses with a chuckle. "Pigs flying?" In the realm of science, new frontiers beckon with discoveries that challenge long-held beliefs and excite the imagination. With each publication, journals reveal advancements in fields such as biology, chemistry, and physics, illuminating the mysteries of the natural and created world. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, emerging like a beacon in academic circles, sets society aflame with discussions and debates that ripple through scholarly and domestic spheres alike. Here, the Victorian era's quest for understanding mirrors its technological ambitions, a pursuit characterized by relentless inquiry and the courage to embrace the unexplored. The handloom of ingenuity also finds expression in the arts, where pioneering techniques and technologies fuel creative innovation. Photography captures the multifaceted reflections of a changing world, preserving moments with a clarity only previously found in paint or print. The medium's ability to immortalize images opens unexpected doorways of dialogue and storytelling, a way of documenting time that both enthralls and inspires. Yet, even amid such progress, the essence of Victorian society remains deeply tethered to its traditions. As the hands of innovation shape the future, the generations raised on custom and decorum endeavor to find balance amid change, holding fast to etiquette even as they marvel at the modern marvels unfolding around them. Onward the evening strolls, leading you to the edge of this Victorian vista, where shadows stretch across the threshold of past and present, meeting changes with open minds and skeptics' hearts. Technology, in all its promise and perplexity, marks the era as a golden age propelling forward, yet undeniably drawing the contemplative gaze backward. In this delicate doubloon of progress and preservation dwells an enduring truth. The courage to dream, design, and direct carries humankind across the tapestry of time. Leaving behind the glowing store windows and newly electrified parlors, you realize that within this age of steely sinews and fervent dreams lies an echo of humanity's eternal quest-seeking, to understand and, in doing so, to forever illuminate the uncharted path ahead. As you close the chapter on this spirited journey through Victorian technology and progress, you walk now with a greater appreciation for the sparks of ingenuity, the perspiration of innovation, and the heartbeats of a world poised on the cusp of transformative possibility, a world of dreams electrified, ever yearning for the next horizon. As the amber glow of the setting sun casts long, stretching shadows over the patchwork of fields and towns, you find yourself poised between two worlds, the contrasting realms of Victorian urban and rural life. It's a delicate juxtaposition, where city and countryside exist in a state of intricate interdependence, each contributing to the era's rich tapestry of social norms and expectations. In the city, the relentless thrum of industry sets the pace for daily life. Urban centres like London, Manchester, and Birmingham pulse with energy, driven by the ceaseless turbines of progress and population growth. The cityscape is a wash of contrasts, elegant parks and promenades, intertwined with the clamour of bustling streets, where vendors peddle their wares beneath the vigilant gaze of towering factories. As you wander the cobblestone avenues, the scents of coal smoke and fresh pastries mingle in the air, a sensory portrait as layered as the city's architecture. Navigating these streets requires a keen understanding of social hierarchies, with residents dancing through a maze of class distinctions marked by attire, address, and occupation. The affluent stride confidently with polished canes, while chimney sweeps weave invisibly among the crowds, their presence a necessity of the burgeoning industrial age. The city is a crucible of opportunity, offering work, education, and the chance to engage with the intellectual currents of the time. Yet, it is also marked by stark disparities, where the grandeur of posh boroughs meets the grinding realities of densely packed tenements. Historians often debate the extent to which urban environments provided hope or merely amplified existing inequalities, a conundrum echoed in conversations and journals of the day. In contrast, the rural landscape unfolds with a graceful languor, its rolling hills and hedgerows offering a pastoral respite from the urban rush. Here, life adheres to the steady rhythms of the seasons, governed more by the rising and setting sun than the ticking of factory clocks. The scent of freshly turned earth and blooming wildflowers fills the countryside, mingling with the gentle chorus of songbirds accompanying the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Within these pastoral settings, community life follows a rhythm deeply rooted in tradition. Villages and hamlets, dotted with thatched cottages and ancient stone churches, become central gathering points, where the continuity of generations fosters a profound sense of belonging. The local inn serves as a hive of conversation, where news travels on the wings of laughter and jest, tales of harvests and market days seasoned with a sprinkling of convivial humour. While the city offers innovation, the countryside holds steadfastly to its heritage. Still, the two worlds are not as isolated as they might appear. Advances in transportation, such as the railway, serve as bridges, knitting together disparate geographies and cultures. Trains become conduits for both goods and ideas, allowing the influences of urban progress to weave their way into rural settings, though not without trepidation and resistance from those who hold tradition dear. What's more, the ebb and flow of rural exodus to urban opportunity contributes to a dynamic societal landscape. Workers seeking improved livelihoods migrate to the cities, drawn by the allure of economic promise, while wealthier city dwellers escape to country estates for respite, bringing with them traces of their urban sensibilities. In the dichotomy of town and country life lies humour derived from human persistence, the folly of urbanites inquiring about rustic customs they find puzzling, or rural denizens poking fun at city folks' bewilderment over simple farm tasks. These exchanges, woven with light-hearted banter and camaraderie, forge bonds across social divides, testament to a shared humanity that persists despite geographic or class distinction. The tension between urban modernity and rural tradition encapsulates the Victorian era's dance of change, each acting as a foil for the other. Such contrasts inspire creativity and collective introspection, capturing the imaginations of artists and writers who immortalize these complexities in oil and ink. As twilight softens the horizon, knitting together the day's disparate experiences, you linger over the interplay that defines Victorian urban and rural life. It's a landscape where innovation and tradition coexist, where technological progress reverberates through quiet pastures and timeless customs echo in the labyrinthine streets of cities. This delicate balance epitomizes the era's ability to navigate transition's symbiotic relationship that binds the cultivated with the unyielding, the historic with the nascent, the scene vibrantly painted in the hues of its multifaceted existence. As you retire from this intricate tableau, you can't help but marvel at the enduring threads of connection that these twinned worlds of city and countryside, with their harmonious discord, speak to the abiding resilience and adaptability of the human spirit in the face of progress and preservation alike. Whether amid the echo of city cobbles or within the hush of a meadow breeze, the heartbeat of the Victorian era pulses, ever alive with the promise of continuity and change. As the Victorian calendar unfolds, the passage of time punctuated by the rituals and gaiety of festivals and celebrations, you find yourself swept into a world where tradition meets exuberance. In this time of social choreography, each celebration offers both a structured performance and an opportunity for joyous expression, where the layers of propriety are momentarily loosened in favor of festive harmony. One of the most cherished events in the Victorian year is Christmas, a holiday infused with the warmth of familial gatherings and rich traditions that echo across generations. Picture yourself in a cozy parlour adorned with garlands of holly and ivy, the scent of evergreen mingling with the spicy sweet aroma of mulled wine and plum pudding. The hearth crackles with a glowing fire, its comforting warmth enveloping the room as laughter and merriment fill the air. At the heart of this celebration stands the Christmas tree, a beloved German import popularized by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Draped with ribbons and handmade ornaments, its twinkling lights offer a beacon of joy and nostalgia. Around it, families gather for the exchange of gifts, carefully wrapped treasures that symbolize affection and thoughtfulness. As the festivities unfold, familiar carols waft through the space, each line carrying the resonance of shared tradition. Amidst these joyous moments, there's room for humor and light-hearted indulgence. Picture a spirited game of charades, where laughter reverberates as much from the antics of performance as from the bonds it strengthens. Or, imagine grappling hilariously with the intricacies of the Victorian Christmas cracker, that papery delight designed to explode with a whimsical pop and reward the reveler with jokes, trinkets, and tissue paper crowns worn gleefully atop well-coiffed heads. Beyond the family home, the streets come alive with the spirit of the season. Carolers parade from door to door, their harmonious voices layered with the crisp air, creating a tapestry of sound that delights all who listen. Market stalls brim with festive wares, enticing passers-by with enticing keepsakes and provisions that add a touch of indulgence to the celebrations. Moving from December's chill to the blossom-laden embrace of May, the May Day festivities cast a different magic upon the Victorian landscape. Here, ribbons and flowers take centre stage as the countryside bursts into life. Village greens transform into lively canvases, where the air quivers with the rhythms of music and dance. The crowning of the May Queen becomes a spectacle of vibrant innocence, encircled by children weaving intricate patterns with their ribbons around the Maypole jubilant dance that mirrors the interweaving themes of community and renewal. These communal festivals meld seamlessly with the social season, where balls and gala events punctuate the calendar with elegant sophistication. The masquerades and high society soirees require their own brand of artistic performance, where whispered conversations and glances exchanged across a crowded ballroom offer the thrill of hidden passions and concealed identities. Among the grandest spectacles is the debutante ball, a coming-of-age ceremony marked by sartorial splendor and self-presentation. Young ladies in meticulously tailored gowns greet the evening under the watchful eyes of family and social peers, their hearts fluttering like the hopes pinned upon their sleeves, weaving stories into the era's cultural tapestry. Historians still debate whether such grand events underscore societal splendor or merely paint over the chasms of societal inequality. Yet, for those who partake, these celebrations stand as cherished spaces of unity and memory-making, transcending their boundaries through shared rituals. Even outside these grand occasions, smaller, more intimate gatherings weave their own stories. Afternoon tea, with its fragrant infusion of camaraderie and conversation, serves as its own kind of mini-celebration and everyday ritual, elevated by the art of careful preparation and the comfort of shared companionship. As twilight drapes itself over these commemorative occasions, the echoes of laughter and revelry linger, ghosts of joy, carrying the legacy of Victorian life's vibrant heart. Seasons may shift and years may fold into one another, but the indelible impressions of these celebrations endure, treasured by those who lived them and recorded for posterity through stories and family albums. This chronicle of festive spirit shines a light on both the communal ties that bind and the irrepressible individuality that colors each celebration, the hallmarks of a society ever attuned to the delicate dance between convention and expression, heritage and evolution. With each closing note of song, each subtle flicker of candlelight, Your journey through Victorian festivals leaves you with a sense of warmth, a gentle reminder of the grace found in shared celebration and the enduring power of communal joy, persistently repainting the fabric of life in its colourful, spirited glory. As you depart from this vibrant pageantry, perhaps your heart carries traces of its music and echo that whispers gently through the corridors of time, connecting the past celebrations with the present's endless promise. As the Victorian era unfurls its layered complexity, art and culture emerge as vital forces, shaping and reflecting the consciousness of the age. In this period of profound transformation, artistic expression serves as both mirror and muse, capturing the era's collective spirit while pushing the boundaries of convention and expectation. You step into a gallery, perhaps the stately halls of the National Gallery in London, where masterpieces of paint and canvas invite contemplation. The Victorian art scene, rich with diversity, is marked by the interplay of tradition and innovation. The pre-Raphaelites, with their vividly detailed renderings and romantic sensibilities, challenge the status quo of the art world, breathing fresh life into classical themes. Their canvases brim with lush color and intricate symbolism, narratives of love and myth beautifully intertwined, a visual feast that captivates the imagination. Across town, the Royal Academy stands as a bastion of conservative tastes, promoting the grand historical and religious themes that have long reigned supreme. The contrast between these two art worlds fuels lively debates and discussions, as artists and patrons alike navigate the tides of aesthetic evolution. In this creative landscape, historians still argue whether Victorian art serves as a genuine reflection of social issues or as an escapist reprieve from them. Yet, no matter the perspective, art transcends rigid boundaries, providing a window into the soul of a society grappling with industrialization, societal norms, and the inexorable march of progress. Music, too, reverberates with the era's distinctive heartbeats. The concert halls of London and beyond resonate with the symphonies of composers such as Arthur Sullivan, who, together with W.S. Gilbert, crafts operatic works that blend intricate composition with sly wit and social commentary. Their famous operettas, including The Mikado and H.M.S. Pinafore, capture the whimsical yet incisive spirit of Victorian ingenuity, poking fun at both the trivial absurdities and deeper complexities of contemporary life. Beyond these formal venues, the music hall emerges as a cherished institution where the jangle of piano keys and the boisterous laughter of audiences transform every performance into a shared cultural experience. Here, the boundaries between performer and spectator dissolve into a dynamic interplay of humor and humanity. Vaudeville acts and comedic sketches offer levity and laughter, a balancing tonic to the era's more somber shades. Literature forms another pillar of Victorian culture, as novels, serialized stories, and poetry capture the zeitgeist with vivid eloquence. The works of Charles Dickens, Charlotte Bronte, and George Eliot delve into the complexities of human experience, illuminating the struggles and triumphs of characters defined by their societal milieu. These narratives, layered with social commentary and empathetic insight, resonate widely, their pages turning under the eager eyes of diverse readerships. In drawing rooms, salons, and clubs, literary debates flourish, with the latest novel often forming a linchpin of heated discussions, its characters and themes dissected with vigor, akin to the autopsy of cadavers in anatomy lectures, sometimes driven by earnest feeling, at other times refracted through the lens of light humor and gentle mockery. Theatre remains a vibrant form of interaction, with dramas and farces joining romantic and realist plays in capturing the layers of Victorian society. Playwright Oscar Wilde embodies this vibrant theatre of words, his plays sparkling with brilliant dialogues that pierce societal pretensions, deftly blending satire and sincerity. Art and culture, like the gentle interlace of threads on a tapestry, draw forth a beauty that fuses the individual with the collective, transcending time through its power to connect. This symphony of creativity reaches far beyond galleries and stages, pervading everyday life through fashion, architecture, and even the decorative arts. Within every sculpted stone of a neo-Gothic building or Art Nouveau ornament, lies an artistic impulse motifs and shapes both challenging the norm and exalting the past. As you walk amid these tangible echoes of Victorian artistry, you note the subtle dialogue between form and function, beauty and utility, tradition and daring innovation. As evening falls, shrouding the city in a mantle of dusk, your journey through the art and culture of the Victorian era lingers like the fading strains of a violina, reminder of human creativity's transcendence. It is a testament to the power of expression, a kaleidoscope of humanity's desire to reflect, critique, and celebrate its own being on a stage as grand as time itself. Leaving this realm behind, with your senses enriched and your spirit invigorated, you gain new appreciation for the rich tapestry of Victorian arts. Whether through canvas, ink, or melody, the era's artistic expression speaks across generations, a timeless flame illuminating the beauty and complexity within the human story, a legacy that promises, even now, to continue inspiring those who dare to seek, dream, and create anew. With each passing year of the Victorian era, resistance and rebellion emerge as potent forces, challenging the established norms and conventions that bind this tightly woven society. Beneath the veneer of propriety and order, voices of dissent ripple through the social fabric, igniting change and questioning the status quo with a fervor that defies complacency. Start your journey in the heart of the city, where the flickering gaslights cast their glow on gatherings of ardent reformers and suffragists. In these spirited assemblies, the air buzzes with excitement and determination. Women, both fierce and resolute, rally for the right to votee, fundamental recognition of their place in society. With banners held high and the power of conviction in their voices, they march through crowded streets, their demands for equality echoing across the nation. Figures like Emmeline Pankhurst and her daughters become symbols of this revolutionary movement, their legacy carved into the annals of history with each fervent call to arms. For many, attempts to stifle such reformist energy only fuel the flames of rebellion. Humor and satire play cunning roles in this struggle, with pamphlets and cartoons lampooning establishment figures, offering both critique and levity. The ink of cartoonists like George Cruikshank provides a weapon of wit that cuts through the pretense, offering the public a mirror that reflects the absurdities and injustices of the age. Elsewhere, amidst the roiling tides of industrialization, workers organize under the banners of burgeoning trade unions. The rising clamor for labor rights resonates through factory floors and coal pits, carried on the back of collective solidarity. These unions demand fair wages, and humane working conditions, a challenge to the iron grip of industrial magnates. Strikes and protests become common as workers wield their collective power, seeking equity in the shadow of smokestacks reaching toward the heavens. Historians debate whether these struggles were destined to effect change or merely pocketed moments of resistance. Nevertheless, their ripples continue to shape future discourse on labor rights and human dignity. Beyond organized resistance, many acts of rebellion persist in quiet defiance. Artists, writers, and intellectuals craft alternative narratives, exploring themes that defy convention. Novels and plays that delve into taboo subjects stir the waters of public discourse, challenging societal mores and inviting reflection. The scandalous rise and fall of figures like Oscar Wilde highlight the tensions of living a life both within and against the grain of societal expectations. In domestic spheres, rebellion manifests through personal choice and self-expression. Women who challenge sartorial conventions by donning bloomers or cycling attire take steps toward gender equality, their simple acts of clothing choice transforming into broader assertions of autonomy. Resistance thrives in unexpected corners, such as secret societies and underground movements, where conspiratorial whispers trade places with impassioned declarations. The laughter shared in these circles often carries a sharp edge, a tool wielded against the creeping tendrils of authoritarian order seeking to choke the breath of open discourse. In the artistic realm, playwrights and authors subtly lace their works with rebellious undertones. Characters that challenge social norms, such as the headstrong heroines penned by the Bronte sisters or the complex anti-heroes of Dostoevsky, serve to question the boundaries of Victorian mores. Such tales offer avenues for both empathy and introspection, allowing readers to envision worlds unfettered by social chains. Even within more conservative settings, the young and adventurous find ways to sidestep conformity. Travel offers an escape, a reprieve where the weight of societal expectation lightens. Whether through grand tours across Europe or spiritual sojourns to the East, wanderlust becomes an expression of defiance against insularity and embrace of the vast and diverse human tapestry beyond one's native shore. As night gently wraps itself around the contours of this vibrant world, you come to appreciate the myriad forms of resistance that animate Victorian society. Reminder that beneath the polished veneer lies a heartbeat of curiosity, courage, and the eternal quest for freedom. In reflecting upon these acts of rebellion, both grand and intimate, you recognize them as the lifeblood of an era defined by its contrasts. They are breaths of fresh air in a society accustomed to holding itself in rigid poise, whispers of grace that ripple through time, affirming the undying spirit of humanity. With each narrative of defiance, each whispered secret, shouted demand, or quiet step outside the lines you carry forward, an appreciation for the champions of change. As the Victorian tide rolls onward, its legacy lingers, with rebels and reformers continuing to inspire those who challenge convention, ever daring to dream beyond the immediate horizon, weaving new paths through history's majestic tableau. The currents of time flow steadily onward, and as the Victorian era unfurls into its latter years, the winds of reform and change sweep through the realm like a long-anticipated spring, promising a new dawn for future generations. This period of transition is marked by seismic shifts in social norms and a yearning for progress that captures the hearts and minds of reformers intent on redrawing the lines of societal structure. Begin your journey down a London street, vibrant with the energy of change. In parlours and public squares alike, fervent debates ignite over issues of class, gender, and equality. Once rigid boundaries begin to blur, as voices that had long been marginalised find platforms for expression. It's a renaissance of thought as social reformers and intellectuals engage with the pressing issues of the day, crafting ideas that will serve as the bedrock for a more equitable society. The push for women's suffrage gains momentum, with more voices joining the chorus demanding gender equality. The call for voting rights, workplace equity, and access to education becomes a rallying cry that reverberates through drawing rooms and meeting halls. While progress is often incremental, the seeds of change take root, nurtured by the tireless advocacy of suffragettes and their allies. The legal landscape reflects this evolution as well, with reforms designed to protect the most vulnerable and uplift those traditionally relegated to the periphery. Acts like the Married Women's Property Act of 1882, which grants married women the right to own and control property, mark significant strides toward autonomy and financial independence. Historians debate whether these changes are fundamental or merely superficial. Yet for those who stand to benefit, the immediate effects are palpable. The confluence of industry, science, and technology spurs further advancements, ushering in adjustments to labour laws that aim to improve working conditions and curtail child labour. The echoes of these reforms resound in factories and workshops, where the age-old struggle for a just wage and humane treatment continues to unfold. You hear the whispers of past protests and the jubilation of victories, the resilience of labourers testament to an ongoing journey toward fairness. The reformist spirit also finds expression in education, with curricula evolving to reflect progressive ideals and a broader pursuit of knowledge. Schools embrace a more inclusive model, with advancements in pedagogy offering students a richer landscape for intellectual exploration. Manual training and technical education gain prominence, acknowledging the importance of a curriculum that prepares all students for the demands of a modern world. The literary landscape, too, mirrors these shifts. Writers and artists engage with themes that challenge Victorian conservatism, crafting narratives that explore psychological depth and social complexities. The emergence of naturalism and realism offers a counterpoint to romanticism, capturing the grittier realities of the human experience. Novels delve into the multifaceted nature of identity, inviting readers to reflect upon their own places within the evolving social fabric. With these transformations comes humor acts of social satire, once whispered behind closed doors, now gain a public stage. Dramas unfold that magnify the absurdities of outdated practices, using wit as a tool to both entertain audiences and force reluctant introspection. Such performances highlight the era's idiosyncrasies, drawing laughter that serves both as release and critique, a release from the strictures of societal convention, yet cajoling the rigor of continued questioning. In the arts, the burgeoning Impressionist movement challenges perceptions of reality and encourages viewers to find beauty in the fleeting and imperfect. Paintings capture the ephemeral dance of light and shadow, presenting a new way to view the world beyond the rigid lines of academic tradition. This celebration of spontaneity and movement resonates with a society on the cusp of transformation. As twilight gathers over the horizon, you reflect upon these winds of change that sweep through the Victorian landscape. It is a time of awakening, a moment when reformists and progressives dream of a future unburdened by the constraints of the past. Their vision finds expression in myriad forms, from labour unions to suffrage societies, from classrooms to canvases, each contributing to a tapestry of hope. Departing from this chapter of change, you take with you the recognition that the pursuit of progress is as much about the journey as the destination. It is an ongoing dance between the known and the possible, a dialogue between tradition and innovation that has ripples far beyond its own era. In the fading light of this transformative age, you embrace the spirit of reform as a testament to human resilience and the endless capacity for renewal. With each step taken toward understanding, equality, and freedom, the Victorian era leaves a legacy reminder that the winds of change, once set in motion, carry with them the promise of a brighter tomorrow, ever propelling society forward to challenge, create, and evolve. As the Victorian era nears its twilight, an ineffable sense of reflection settles over the land like a fine mist, inviting contemplation upon the tumultuous years that have shaped a generation and left an indelible mark on the pages of history. This is a time where the end of an era beckons, ushering in the gentle embrace of modernity and the gradual dismantling of rigid Victorian social conventions. In this period of self-reckoning, you find yourself amid an era in transition. The grandeur and opulence that once characterized upper-class gatherings give way to more understated elegance, where personal expression begins to overshadow the rigid adherence to societal norms. A casual stroll through a bustling street or simpler attire at a country soiree captures the gentle relaxation in formality indicative of an evolving society. Technological innovations that once inspired ore steam engines, telegraphs, electric lights, become more commonplace, woven seamlessly into the fabric of everyday life. Their early novelty gives way to practical utility, yet they remain reminders of the age's relentless march toward progress, standing as pillars that will support future epochs. Cultural shifts echo through the corridors of time, as literature and the arts embrace newfound freedom. Writers and artists, empowered to explore beyond the confines of traditional Victorian themes, venture into bold new territories. The stream of consciousness style and impressionist brushstrokes redefine narratives and aesthetics, fostering deeper introspection and challenging the rigidity that once held sway. Amidst these changes, you perceive a blending of class distinctions less pronounced, yet still present. The seeds of egalitarianism, sown by reformists, begin to bear fruit, albeit slowly. The ripples of labor movements, suffrage victories, and social reform steadily reshape societal structures, gradually bridging gaps that once seemed insurmountable. Historians debate whether this evolution signals a true ideological shift or simply reflects society's desire to adapt to changing circumstances. However, one cannot dismiss the impact of these transformations, the echoes of progress that continue to shape the world even as the shadow of Victorian values lingers. With gentle nostalgia, one looks back upon this era of contrasts where innovation entwined with tradition and reform flowed alongside resistance. Humor emerges retrospectively, as past absurdities are illuminated by the light of reflection, a reminder of human nature's penchant for both folly and brilliance amidst the dance of history. The Victorian legacy, shaped by its trials and triumphs, leaves behind a quilted landscape intricately stitched with the threads of human endeavour. It's a story woven with rich detail, holding within it the aspirations of dreamers and the resolve of those who dared to dismantle barriers. And so, the era winds down, fading eloquently into history's embrace, yet leaving behind a timeless reminder of humanity's capacity for growth and renewal. As the final scene closes on this epoch, we pause to savor the spirit of its complexity, the challenges it posed, and the triumphs it inspired. In the quietude of this moment, you cherish the realization that the Victorian age, with all its contradictions and achievements, has laid a foundation legacy of aspiration and resilience, etched indelibly in the annals of humanity's ongoing journey. And so, with the whispers of history gently echoing through your thoughts, you bid farewell to this time, confident that the continuity of hope and progress will light the path ahead. Sweet dreams.